The eye of the tiger, the gaze of our power. From Dota's empire, we bring the fire. To the VCS, we conspire. See man, it's secret. From sea land to world champs. Loki the best, we wait for a test. East is our nest, the west is a jest. International stage is our book's next page.
We made top 6 at MSI. We are flying too damn high. Solo killed Guma and Carrier. Sorry, what was that? Couldn't quite hear ya. You thought that Froggy couldn't farm, but his Galio roams warrant an alarm. 4-way flags, you can't respond. You're getting smashed if you jump in this pond. B&J continues to blossom in summer, while the other junglers are just getting dumber. Look to your left, look to your right. Oh shit, it's Taki from out of sight.
Wham, bam, here comes Gam. Loading into game to bury your fam. Kings of the VCS, this league's gotten old. Skipped MSI so we could lift up that gold. Dominate, eliminate, wreck every game. Enpa, hero, Kiaya puts you to shame. Levi's in the jungle, Vietnam's captain, picking up kills, leading Garm to action. Roam like an eagle, gank like a bee. That's what you get when you mess with me. Mids off vision, waves crashing bot. You can burn all your sums, but living you're not.
Hark, hear the angels sing. Praise be the emperor, bow to your god king. Every top will drop to him alone. No one else who can take the throne. Greg's priority may seem whack, but he's sure to change your palette to blue and black. Step up if you can, but you'll soon see you can't mess with celebrities of SC.
Garm won SEA games, but that's no claim to fame. Other teams so lame that even Flash could beat them every game. Levi and Wukong all day long, just hiding behind the fact that his hands aren't strong. You got us all banned, we feel betrayed. Now please stop typing and listen to the serenade. Behold, the circle of SE starts to spin. Now enjoy playoffs without a win. Enpa playing nothing but Gwen and Na, but those two champions won't take him very far. Oh wow, he got a solo kill, but watching Hospit, now that's a throw. Team Secret easy win. Wanna make a bet? 3-2 spring semis rent free in your hat. Artifact best mid MVP? I tell you what he is, finals absentee. Sure enough, the man can lane, but Froggy can even win on Kane. It is time to get ready. We are never going to take things slow and steady. LJL at MSI was only the start. Watch our PCS, you're next on our chart.
Buffalo think they can come for the crown? Call us the Matador when we put them down. Froggy picking weird shit, can't play standard. Cardi picking carries, leading our vanguard. Secret? Haven't been relevant since you were low-key. Coming to our finals? Gonna get choky. Artifact from the past, washed up, dried. Clockwork says you're good, but he's just lied. SE's got a fan base, but that's about it. 15 years and a prison sentence just from one split. Roosters load in our game, looking like the big cocks. Don't worry, we got the pick, and you're the easy lock.
So tell me, what's the secret? Surely it's not another Santa pick for Eddie. Boring. Little jungle penguin poured his little heart out. Tried to catch a dragon, didn't notice it's a cutout. Cam, is this your plan? Work beat to death? I understand. Elio's a no-go, it's no surprise. We knew that kid couldn't burst the sky. You're a solo lane team, but Kadi and Kiaya just keep giving performances, make you wish they'd just retire. Red Cow laughing, bringing us the cheese, cause Froggy can't lane without Seraphine. Take a 3-0, leave your mental broken. Calling us Miji, it's the end of the Shogun.
Mess with the ball and you get the horns. Says a little calf without the force. Kicked us once, but no more. The hardest year, use your soul for more. It's just the fact that Artifact is mega cracked and frauds retract. He'll get the mid and just redact. Gigabyte Marines you used to be when you were good. Now say thank you to B who got you oblique in the loop. Oh Hanke, are you okay? Do you wanna be with the VCS crew? Cause losing too much is stressing you. You want to win in style, you think you're ready. May I introduce you to the fan club of Eddie? The batlane won't hold. Juhao behold, you better get bold for your tickets to Worlds. Yo, chicken, doing fine. Your flightless bird looks on decline. Look at our penguin flying high. The jungle gap should be a sign. Did you say that DNK is on his hay game? We dropped him cause he was late to every lane. This is playoff, turn the lights off, Noctur's old, you shouldn't scoff. Darker and darker, you have no clue, the big brother is watching you.
Words say a little, chills the most, so we're the only ones with permission to boast. Spear on you like we too busy winning. We head towards your kid keeps singing. Your kid.
I heard there was a playoff rap battle. You mind if I join in? Guys? Oh man.
G'day everyone, and welcome to the first series of VCS playoffs here on VCS English. Now you might wonder, why do I have something on screen over my camera? Well, that's because 3 seconds before we went live, I sliced my lip completely open and there's blood everywhere. So we're doing our best to cover that one up. We're just going to power on through. I'm here with Tim and Clockwork, and we have SGB and Team Secret facing off today, don't we?
Yeah, I'm excited. Was here for the last series in spring when they met for a full best of 5. And honestly, as a VCS fan, I just hope it's going to be 5 games once again.
So
I am too.
just a mud fight between these two teams. I expect a full best of 5 in the full distance, and then again meeting them once more in the later stages of playoffs. So just give me that.
Sorry, I was muted there for a second. Clockwork, again, I sliced my lip open. I'm losing a lot of blood. Jeez. Clockwork, you're the Team Secret fan. You think they're going to take this series, and I want you to tell us why.
Absolutely, like Team Secret, like representing Team Secret, they've had their best split ever, right? Artifact is in peak condition. He is the best mid laner of the league, and he's against Froggy. We're talking about laning stats, like he's Froggy. And do I just shut up now?
Yeah, once it's playing.
And I don't know, like just that Artifact is
listen.
the core of.
I've had enough. The whole split. Listen to these inane people on my broadcast that I somehow got on here telling me over and over again that Psycho is overrated, Froggy is bad. There are some other teams, the secret of all of them, that are going to go to Worlds that are way better, and it has to stop. It has to stop. All these absolutely insane opinions. I'm here to tell you about Sagan Buffalo. Okay, now listen to me. Ever since they joined this league, they have consistently been in the finals every single time outside of Winter Split. Okay, but Winter Split, if you just look at the Winter Split in hindsight now, we can actually forget about everything that happened there. Gum didn't win. Cerberus won. 2 very weird things already. Then we have 2 teams that were nowhere close to playoffs form. Killer Queen's team, and of course also Burst the Sky of all of them, making the playoffs. So very obviously, Winter Split did not really matter for anyone. BJ Froggy didn't take it seriously. We don't care about Winter Split, but if you look past the Winter Split, because that's basically all there is, you can argue against Saigon Buffalo and their historic performance, then you just see they came into the league spring 2021 and instantly made the finals. Actually challenged Gum, had some really good games. Remember that final? They started 1-0. The second game, there was 17 minutes, they were 10k gold ahead or something. They should have won that game. There would have been a 2-0 over Gum. No other team even came close to that. Then this spring split, Gum 14-0 in series, stomped absolutely everyone. Guess who they had struggles with, to a certain extent at least, in the finals. It was Saigon Buffalo taking a game of Gum. They also took a game of Gum in the C finals. That's yet another final. All 8 teams competed for that one. The 2 teams that made it were Saigon Buffalo and Gum. So, now in Summer Split, You're telling me that out of nowhere it's supposed to be someone else than Garmin, Saigon, Buffalo? Everything points towards these two teams. These two teams are the best players in all the positions. We have consistently great players. BJ, Taki, the two big talents. Then also Shogun coming in. Hasmet is still royalty in the top lane, maybe even better than Kiaya now. And Froggy has always been the perfect facilitator. So there's absolutely no reason to believe that out of nowhere this summer split, there's suddenly another team that's gonna overcome them. Look at Artifact. Artifact, yeah? Your biggest reason to believe in Team Secret. Where has Artifact been all these years in the playoffs? Sure, he has had decent, maybe even good performances, MVP-worthy performances, you might argue, in the regular season, but I tell you something, he has never, in his whole career, been to a VCS final. Never. He has made it to Worlds once, but that was without making it to finals, because they actually lost against GAM in the semi-final and only qualified in the losers bracket match 2019. So never made the final. He's not going to make the final this time. They lost in the most recent series against Saigon Buffalo. They also lost in the spring playoffs in the best of 5. There's absolutely no evidence that would point towards a Team Secret win, and this is why, once again, this team is going to make it to Worlds, and this team is going to make it to the finals and challenge GAM. Maybe not win, but maybe it's also this time that they can overcome the behemoth that is GAM in the finals. So stop with your absolutely inane Team Secret hype, maybe even the SBDC. I've even heard people say Wales and Cerberus. No, it's Saigon Buffalo, has always been Saigon Buffalo since they've come in with this team, and they are the second best team in Vietnam. They're the only ones worthy of challenging GAM, and it's gonna happen again, no matter what you believe.
Well, Yulwei has made a strong point, and again, I just wanted to remind people before I ruin my career, I have tissue stuffed into my mouth because I'm bleeding a lot, but we're gonna power through. But I'm gonna go straight over to you, Tim, because if we want to get out all of our predictions on screen so that we can all be transparent of what we think is going to happen, you are favoring SGB, and I have to ask why.
I mean, I think SGB is in a much better form than they were in spring. I think they've learned a lot during MSI, and also looking at the laning set specifically in the first 15 minutes, they were really struggling during spring split. There's barely any lane that was really ahead at 15. They're now all ahead. Not so Froggy, but it's Froggy. As long as he's not griefing the lane, we're all happy because we know he can do that, and especially against Artifact today, it will be a hard fight for him to stand up, especially since he has actually started winning less lanes on CS. Like he's down in CS more times than he was in spring, so he's not really grouping with the rest of the team. But then you might have the argument, okay, he's playing more for the team. That's the reason why the other lanes are winning harder, and that could be a fair point as well. So I think overall they're just better as a team on all lanes, and I think especially the storyline of like, is Shogun as good as Eddie is more now, okay, can Eddie really still stand up to Shogun?
Fair enough. Clockwork, you're obviously going the other way. You predicted the 3-2 for Team Secret, and I have to ask you the same question. Why do you think they're going to get over the line?
As I was about to explain before you rudely interrupted me, Team Secret have had their best split ever, and not only that, they play their mid-jungle duo, Penguin and Artifact, really well. Artifact is the key of the team, and he always manages to be relevant and the carry of the team. It will be especially relevant against a laner like Froggy that will be forced to stay in lane, supposedly, and will not be able to help BJ and Buffalo go on with their strategy. Hero is also no slouch, so Hasmet will have their competition met. And Eddie, we've had some concerns about him, even if Shogun takes advantage in lane. Eddie is a master of positioning well in team fights, and mid-game team fights is where Secret really shines, and I think this is enough to put them above Saigon Buffalo today.
Fair enough. Now, draft is not too far away, so we're very quickly going to get on screen a comparison of our mid laners and their champion pools. Tim, I know you wanted to go over this, but I do need to get you to do it a little bit quickly.
Yeah, I think it is support versus carry. I expect the very supportive meta with a lot of Aries, Lissandras, even the Galio maybe, to come in for Froggy, and then more carry style champions for Artifact, maybe even more control mage style, like Victor.
All right, and into draft we go for the first time of the playoffs here in spring. I'm going to have to ask the two of my co-casters to really carry this one because I'm beginning to feel lightheaded.
I mean, we're opening up with Illusion and Yuumi for Saigon, so they want to take away some of those really strong bot lanes. I mean, the Illusion really isn't the early game powerhouse he was before. He's more played with First Strike and as a scaling mid-game carry, so he really fits, I think, the Team Secret style where you really come online in mid-game, and taking that away together with Azir, who's probably the best control mage at the moment, the best carry mage in mid lane, is a good start for them.
I also want to add that this Azir ban will be crucial all over the series because Froggy, as you were talking about the mid laner first, does not play the champion, while Artifact is a master on the Emperor of Sands. However, Team Secret prioritized these also power picks like Sivir and Renekton, and Wukong. They go the meta at the moment, but they left the Kalista open, another strong power pick, and the Seraphine. We need to point out that Froggy is one of the masters of Seraphine, and also Taki and also Shogun play the champion, so I expect a Seraphine to come at some point during the draft or during the series.
And it is once again the Penguin Nocturne, and last split, when we were in those semi-finals, it was actually his Nocturne who really got the Team Secret ahead in 2 of the games and really got him some wins. So I think having that Nocturne once again, being a Saigon counter, you might say, is a good start for the Secret. It's one of the best champions that Penguin really showed, for me at least, also in those best of 5. So I think that is really exciting together with Eddie's probably best champion in the Aphelios.
Oh, here we see the Pantheon, another one of these junglers that are resurging at the moment. Together with the Vi, they will be very relevant. And this makes a lot for BNJ's aggression and all the things that Team Buffalo really wants to do in the early game. So this comp that Buffalo is already using seems to be very aggressive towards the early game in the bot side with the Kalista, with the Pantheon. So there's a lot of weight already on Eddie. Aphelios is one of the picks that he pushed at, and I think the Secret will need to pay a lot of attention to this bot lane to protect the Eddie before it turns into a gaping hole. Tahm Kench, good pick to protect their Eddie carry.
And honestly, I'm a bit surprised by Tahm Kench, because what we usually see is if teams really trade away the Renata with an early strong AD carry, it can be the Kalista, it can be the Draven. It is usually Aphelios Lulu as an answer, because Lulu works well into Renata and you have a really good scaling comp. Now with the Tahm Kench, you're basically just taking the beating for free. You're gonna be, your teeth are gonna get kicked in, you're not gonna have fun, they're gonna really try to kill it on bot, and yes, the Tahm Kench later on of course has his ultimate to really stop that on-click engage from the Pantheon, for example, but still, it's not going to be easy to be really strong on this Tahm Kench. Now, 2 really strong supporting mid laners being taken out for Froggy, Talia, and the Seraphine you already talked about.
Yeah, as you say...
So just let me jump in for a moment, because we've seen these compositions develop, and I think it's really interesting the ban strategies that have gone in. The fact that the Lucian was read as this super high priority thing has meant I think we've come out with 2 drafts that don't look like what we expected to come out.
Indeed. Well, it came from the bans, because a lot of power picks that we see usually, for example, this Sivir, also Yuumi, that prevents this area from being a high priority option. They shaped the draft a lot, especially this Kalista. And I also agree with Tim that if I was a Secret, I would pick Lulu, since Shuhao is a master of enchanters, and we also saw him perform way better on these peeling champions like the Lulu. Now, Ari for Artifact is what definitely disappoints me the most, because he usually takes, oh no, the Lissandra, the Ari-Lissandra matchup. Thank you, I hate it. This will be very advantageous for Saigon Buffalo, because it allows Froggy to roam a lot without really being punishable by Artifact.
Yeah, but at the same time, you of course have the Tahm Kench to save up one of the members, and now we see a pick. We've seen it quite a few times. It is the Aatrox blind. If you really want to have a blind pick, especially into more low-range comps, Aatrox is the pick for you. It is a good AD option, and now we have to see how Hero answers. Hero had a really good split, but he's now up against, I think, a resurging Hazmet, who's really not looked great either at MSI or in the beginning of the split, but has found his form once again and is now one of the menacing top laners that is in the VCS. It's really exciting to see how many good top laners we actually have developed during the past few splits, and now it is gonna be the Gwen lock-in for Hero, one of Hero's best champions as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually think it's a big deal here that SGB have chosen to go with the Aatrox side of this. Husmed, this split has been a Gwen one trick. There's no other way to put it. He had, I think, 14 games on Gwen when we were looking at the stats. He is basically one-tricked Gwen, but he chose to go the Aatrox this time, chose to go with this pick that has been rising back into the meta. And those of us that have been here for a long time in VCS, and in VCS English will remember the debut of Husmed back when he was Ryzo. I think he went 14-0 on Aatrox. So SGB will be hoping he can repeat that one. But overall, I'll start with you, Clockwork. What do you think of these drafts, and who do you think will come out on top?
Ooh, this might hurt my initial prediction of Team Secret because I think Buffalo came out ahead with a really strong map, especially in the early game. I really want to see them collapse towards this bot lane. It is very, very abusable for Saigon Buffalo. And if this strategy comes out, I think this game might also be over before 25 minutes.
Yeah, I have to agree here with my co-analyst, and I also think that what most people forget is Aatrox is really relying on ulti resets, and if I look at Saigon's comp, I mean, every champion there is just there to get one kill, get a reset for the Aatrox, and then Aatrox runs over the rest of the team fight.
And on to the Rift we go, as SGB versus Team Secret square off in our first round of summer playoffs 2022. God, the blood loss is bad. Milky, Rebel, take over before I literally die.
Thank you, Carrick. Go have yourself a sit down, a lie down. I think you're sitting down anyway, so a lie down might be more appropriate. Rebel, game 1 between Saigon Buffalo and Team Secret. And I remember making a little bit of a video, a bit of a cold open earlier on in the split, where I was talking about rivalries that were starting up in the VCS. And I think this is one of these new ones that we're starting to see form, because we saw these two teams going head to head for that MSI spot in spring. And in summer, these teams have been very close, and now again, they're meeting against each other in playoffs.
I think from our perspective, perhaps that's the case, but in my opinion, until Team Secret beats them in playoffs, it's not a two-way rivalry, where it's like Team Secret might be angry when they play Saigon, but Saigon does not care if they once again beat Team Secret in the grand scheme of things, because it's up to Team Secret to show that they can even be competitive. Obviously, the entire split they came in as the 2 seed, they did great all split, but the fact that they had some kind of rumblings towards the end did make it difficult, as wow, we're getting some invade. I'm really surprised Saigon Buffalo calls this off, which is a little shocking given the fact that they've got such a really mean early game team, but they must just not fancy flipping the game at only 1 minute in. So we're not going to get any kind of early game shenanigans here.
And I'm actually kind of surprised by that, because when you look towards the early game, it seems very favored, at least to me, towards the side of Saigon Buffalo. You see the likes of a Pantheon, the Kalista, Renata, which Team Secret just handed over to Saigon Buffalo in the draft, as we see Hero just bullying Husmed out in the lane before they even start attacking the minions.
Yeah, combination of just like Conqueror stacks with like Aatrox Q cooldown was going to make it a lot easier for the Gwen to put in some damage to kick things off. I'm sorry, can you repeat the point that you said right before that?
I was talking about Team Secret essentially gifted the Kalista open. They didn't ban it away. Saigon Buffalo on blue side, they picked up the Kalista, and then Team Secret said, no, we don't want to deny the Renata. They picked up themselves the Nocturne, they picked up the Aphelios, and they gave this Renata Kalista lane to Saigon Buffalo for, in my opinion, for free.
I think they understand where the strength of their team lies, and they know that Eddie is not really a laner. I think we've had that criticism of most of the split. That's been kind of the number one criticism I've heard from most of the analysts. It's just that the laning is not there for Eddie as opposed to anything else. So if you're going to start talking about where he's weak, that's where he's weak, because BJ plays with the vision perfectly right here.
Hero stepping a bit too far forward, and it is a free gank for the Saigon Buffalo jungler, and first blood for BJ.
Really quick play, I think a little faster than normal because you didn't actually go red buff if you're BJ. He went from Raptors right into Blue Gromp, which is gets level 3. And I think it's a little faster than what Penguin was anticipating, a little faster than what Hero was anticipating, because he was just out of position completely right there. And it does mess up the kind of jungle pathing a little bit for BJ, because now, I mean, he has to basically take Wolves, and then he goes back, takes his red and his Krugs, maybe looks for a gank on the bottom side is the intention here with the wraparound, but it's not a super like hyper clear favored pathing that's been taken. It's really exclusively for this gank that came through. And do note, if you will, we'll talk about it once we get out of the replay, because again, this was super simple. This was literally just BJ didn't even have to flash, didn't have to do anything, just threw out some abilities, was able to get the kill. But I'm looking at bottom lane because the Kalista and the Renata actually haven't really been touching the wave all that much, and I think they're anticipating a gank coming through from the Pantheon pretty quick here.
Seeing Penguin squeezing his way into the top lane. He's just going to help Hero shove this lane in. And the question is, does Harsmid want to stay and try to catch this wave? And I think that'd be too greedy. So he's just going to back away from the tower and get his reset off.
Oh. As if specifically to slight your prophecy. Harsmid stays specifically for the wave.
This is why, when we used to cast in the past, you were the Prophet Rebel Fox and I wasn't the Prophet Milky Cereal.
Okay, I mean, he's got, actually, I was going to say he has coverage from Froggy, but Froggy is already TP'd back to lane because of the health trades that happened with Artifact at the beginning of the game. Harsmid did stay long enough time to actually make it happen. Harsmid actually caught a little bit sleeping at the wheel right there. Okay, Penguin is still kind of baiting. Yeah, they're going to force him out another wave, and this one he won't be able to step up to, so he's perfectly fine now. Notice also, I think it looked like the bottom wave, they kind of stacked really, really hard against the bottom side, and then decided, okay, we're not actually going to make a gank happen with B&J. Instead, we're just going to use Shogun and Taki. We're going to slow push the stacked wave. And you look at the advantage that they've got now. They've got this 20 farm advantage. I think there's a decent stacked wave down on bottom side that Team Secret will eventually be able to catch. But it's opening up a lot more space here for B&J to work with when the time comes. Opens up a back timer now for Shogun as well. I thought that wave was a lot more stacked than it is, but it's literally a 20 CS advantage right now for Saigon's bottom lane.
And to kind of go on further with this bottom lane, Eddie against Shogun, I feel like this is a big clash of styles between Team Secret and Saigon Buffalo. Shogun usually playing those more aggressive champions, usually dominating a little bit more in lane, whereas we see Eddie more often than not on champions like the Senna and just playing to survive lane and then become more of a factor once you get towards team fights.
So, on one hand, I agree with you that I think Shogun's laning has been a bit more consistent than what Eddie's has. But I actually have come to the realization that I am in firm belief that Shogun's actually the best team fighting ADC in the VCS, pretty significantly.
Okay.
The best outside of him is probably Style. I think Style has shown that a number of times. But the thing about it is Shogun's positioning is always like crisp and clean and clear, which is the criticism that I had of Eddie, and that's why, I always joke about it on desk and on cast that I say Eddie's a garbage ADC. My problem is that there's a lot of ADCs who are really talented who position very badly in the VCS. They're either way too far up or they're way too far back, not putting out damage, and Shogun seems to ride that line better than just about any ADC here in the VCS, which is what makes him, I think it's the thing that's turned Shogun from being somebody that's like, okay, he's pretty good and he's a good like kind of piece, to now being, I would say, one of the pivotal pieces to Saigon's composition when it comes to team fighting. Ever since MSI, that's really been the case. Shogun kind of popped off there when he was able to beat the Korean bottom lane. And ever since then, in my opinion, I think he's been one of the best performing players on the team.
And we always go back to talking about Shogun and Taki solo killing Guma Yushin Kero. We even put it in the rap battle because we've been bringing it up so much. And we talked as well at the start of the split about how Saigon Buffalo, they went to MSI, and that international experience after the VCS was absent from international tournaments for so long would have been a big opportunity for this team to grow. And it seems that they have been able to take that and grow a little bit more as a team. They still seem to be a little bit below the likes of a GAM, but they are improving, and now we're seeing Saigon Buffalo looking towards his bottom lane. Eddie is very low. He does have a cleanse available, and B&J is looking for a play. Eddie flashes out of the Comet Spear, and that's one summoner down for the Team Secret bottom lane.
Super easy, even with the cover from Penguin coming in. The threat of Shogun at level 6 with Taki and with B&J just makes it so that they can't do anything. And now Penguin's actually shoved out his bottom side completely. You can see here that it's going to be a blue buff that's been transitioned over to Froggy, which is beautiful, and now top lane.
and Hero just gets solo killed by Hazmed. They both use their ultimates in that fight, but the Aatrox just a much stronger champion in the early stages of the game.
Or at least making it look like the champion's a lot stronger at the beginning stages of the game. Hazmed flexing on Hero just a little bit right here with the solo kill out of the top lane. And he's somebody that also, I think we were talking about setting up for a game like this. Again, team fighting is something that Hazmed excels in. And so when he's winning the laning phase, he is going to be an absolute beast come time for those team fights to begin with. As Hero, I mean, Hero's had an amazing split up to this point, but has had some kind of stinker games every once in a while. And this is not the guy you want to be giving like a free laning phase over to. You don't want to be, giving Aatrox the ability to have all this power to work with. Oh my goodness, Taki.
The cleanse gets used for Taki's handshake, and then BJ says howdy and drops a shield vault on top of Eddie. 3-0 Saigon Buffalo.
Well, he burns the cleanse, but he burns it so late that the handshake already pushed him back right into the ultimate coming in from BJ. So it was a little bit late from Eddie, perhaps a little late on the reaction, not expecting Taki to just flash Q like that, which is fair, because it kind of came out of nowhere. The ultimate wasn't even popped yet. It was just perfectly played out by Taki right there to set up his jungler, as it's a free Rift Herald. You've got enough wave clear to be sufficient in the mid lane to not have to worry about anything. So when you make these side lane plays as BJ, you can set up for neutral objectives really, really effectively. And here, BJ has already been striking effectively across the map, got 2 kills for himself in this game, which means the Pantheon is going to be an absolute menace to deal with. And I do wonder if they just go for a play on top side. They got level 6 for Taki, level 7 for Shogun. They've got enough to work with potentially to attack Eddie if they wanted to.
And the Team Secret bottom lane, or top lane as it is now, just has one summoner spell. Eddie takes so much damage, and Juhao already forced to burn the Devour. A teleport from Artifact as well to dissuade Saigon Buffalo from aggressing any further. But BJ still has a Rift Herald available, and Team Secret are just looking in such bad shape right now.
Or Saigon is just looking completely on form right now. It's got to be one of the two. And you can see across the board, like I said, Aatrox already with a solo kill. That was Hazmed showing up. Froggy currently has 10 CS a minute. I don't think I've ever seen Froggy with 10 CS a minute before in my entire life. As a Lysandra, who's already had a couple of ganks and impacts, in a couple of places across the map. As Hero, maybe fancies a chance against Hazmed here.
He wants revenge, but he gets pulled back by the box, and Hazmed will be able to survive. And I'm really glad you brought up the mid lane CS, because it's something that I did want to touch on. Because the weakness of Froggy, we've always brought it up time and time again, is the fact that when he joined in the VCS, this guy could not farm. And right now, he is out farming Artifact, who was arguably, until very recently, the best mid laner in the VCS.
I mean, there's an argument to be said that actually, hang out for a second. There's an argument to be said, actually, that Artifact is one of, if not the best player of the split here, especially if Team Secret make a push for finals, make a push through playoffs to be able to find themselves in a position that they can qualify for Worlds. I mean, Artifact, I think, currently leads MVP voting for us. As a result of just having these amazing performances on Team Secret again and again. This is the rock that the team is built on. I've said that a number of times. He's the biggest star power player I think that this roster has had for the consistency of the split. And that's why every single time that we have a chance, we give him those MVP points, because it's like, okay, that's what Artifact does. He just makes it look like he's always contributing, always important to team comps. And truthfully, he is. And so today we were expecting him to be able to step up when the time comes to really make some kind of really positive impact, make some kind of really good play. So far, I mean, the rest of his team is kind of fallen around him already, and he's falling to the wayside at least a little bit. This is a nice play from Team Secret. There was a play set up for bottom lane for Kalista to get first tower, so they are just trading some plates onto Eddie. But Hazmed, once again, just standing in the face of adversity, not caring in the slightest about all these members that are here.
And now there's a Rift Herald dropped in the mid lane. It's a 3v2 for Saigon Buffalo. They engage on Hero. So much damage. The Rift Herald charges forward. And Hero is just gone, obliterated from the face of the map. And the tower almost falls as well, but Penguin will arrive in time to be able to smite it down. Team Secret, though, they take this as an opportunity to go onto Hazmed. That is a strong Aphelios. Can Hazmed get on top of Eddie? The Devour will buy time, but still, maybe a possibility. Moonlight Vigil use Eddie so low, and the Darkened Blade almost enough to pick up the kill. But in the end, Hazmed will fall. But sadly for Team Secret, it's Juhao who gets the cold.
I mean, they get something back. Okay, here comes BJ as well.
Flashing forward side on the Comet Spear, and now Juhao is just left to try to zone BJ away. Juhao taking so much damage, BJ could even think about going for a dive to Comet Spear. And Zhu Hao is not quite clear to see because there is the thick skin. Paranoia now comes through from Penguin. Wants the kill, but here comes Froggy. Locks down Penguin with the Frost. And BJ just about survives. And dearie me, for Team Secret, this is just painful to watch.
How in the world is this the Team Secret that shows up today? I mean, this is a team that was number 1 coming out of this first half of the split. The only team they lost to was GAM. They were number 2 coming out of the second half of the split. They were a decent distance in front of basically every other team. And they are not looking like the number 2 team. They're not looking like even the number 3 team, in my opinion. They are completely, they're looking like the Team Secret that showed up in week 5. And I thought part of that was going to be much more focused around the fact that, you know, they didn't have much to play for. But even today, when they're playing for their playoff lives, or at least playing for a little bit in playoffs, really not looking their best right now. As Saigon Buffalo, this is just a repeat of what happened in the mid lane. Artifact got shoved out head time. Why even come back in here though? Look at this. Like, Artifact steps up. What are you doing? Just has to flash out the other side of the fight. It's ridiculous just how much Team Secret is given over. It's 14 minutes in with 6k gold advantage. This is not what we expected from our number 2 team.
Absolutely not. But let's not forget, Saigon Buffalo are an incredibly good team in the early game. They've got the likes of a Pantheon. They've got this Kalista Renata. There was no doubt that we were expecting them not just to win this series because of recent performances, but from this composition as well. We're barely 15 minutes in, and Team Secret are going to be losing their final outer tower as well momentarily.
And Team Secret has gotten basically nothing across the board. Like, they didn't tell, they pulled top tower, a couple plates off top tower, but outside of that, I mean, they lost Dragon, they lost Rift Herald, they've lost pretty much every outer structure. It's been defensed. Honestly, BJ's kind of put it on a clinic today. I think everybody has worked really well around the fact that they've got this Pantheon early game, and jumping back to draft, because it's worth talking about at least for a second, because I don't think it's every issue that Team Secret has had, but why are we first picking Nocturne? Nocturne isn't the strongest of champions right now. I know it's a Team Secret special, but they R1 Nocturne. Like, why in the world did you pick that champion so early into the game? I know it is into Pantheon, and maybe your anticipation is like, oh, maybe Pantheon doesn't just like completely run things to start off. Well, why even give it the chance? Why not, pick something else that Penguin can be effective on? Penguin's been a good jungler most of the split, but the Nocturne just isn't doing it for me right now. It's just been so slow out of the gate to really work with anything. Feels disastrous here for the side of Team Secret to just have no jungle pressure at all to match what BJ's been able to do. And it's set up these lanes in perfect fashion where, like you said, the early game composition just gets to continue to snowball.
And it's one of those things that I want to say is not just, that Team Secret comfort pick, this Nocturne. It feels like it's been a thing of the VCS region as a whole, as Froggy now catching out Artifact. Penguin is here, so is Zhu Hao. They're turning towards a BJ, but in comes the Fates called Paranoia to buy some time, buy some vision. Nice Moonlight Vigil, but there's just no damage from Eddie. It will be enough for Team Secret to back away without losing any more members.
A couple of the really big ultimates burnt on both sides here, but without that Tom Kench ultimate, there's just nowhere for Eddie to stand in fights. No ultimate from Artifact either. Really does slow down. It just bogs down fights in general because it means nobody can really step up. It means the Team Secret's basically just kiting backwards with no damage to hope to win. And so Saigon, I think they're perfectly fine with that going the way that it did. They're still up 6k gold, and they're going to get Rift Herald, and Dragon's going to be available. If BJ wanted to ult to that pit just as fast as possible, put Kalista down there immediately after pushing the mid wave, I mean, they could just chain this objective into even more. As Hero, once again, looking for Hosbin, pops the ultimate just to try to get away, as Penguin's here too. Really?
No further aggression from Team Secret. I guess they want to force Harsmed back and maybe go for Drake. However, instant teleport from Froggy. Is he possibly caught out? No, he's flashing forward with the Everfrost, trying to lock down Penguin. BJ coming in from behind, and Penguin is just going to get clapped. Saigon Buffalo taking everything. BJ occupying so much time with the rest of the Team Secret, and now the Glacial Prison locks Artifact down and provides a double kill for Shogun.
Just absurd, man. It has been Saigon striking again and again and again. This is not a boxing match. This is like this is like target dummy. Like, this is like, this is a speed bag that's sitting in front of Saigon Buffalo as they just deliver every single blow that they possibly can. Is they're going to crack bottom inner, they're going to get Dragon off the back of it, they're going to get a charge into the bottom inhibitor tower. I mean, this could not, I don't think I could have imagined this game going any better for Saigon Buffalo than the way that it has right now. They can play with such fervor at the, like on the front foot here to attack against this Team Secret composition. There's just nothing for Team Secret to do to get back in. They are always getting aggressed against, no matter the circumstance. Here they are, they're running into the pit just to contest a little bit. They do have like Penguin behind them with ultimate, Artifact behind them with ultimate. I think Saigon rightfully does leave in time. But 9k gold? Milky? This is Team Secret? The Clock fans? Like that you're in shambles right now? I can only imagine like that the Clockwork is going to be so upset on the desk about the fact that Team Secret got smacked this hard in game number 1.
So here's the thing, right? We did our VCS rap battle, and I didn't tell Clockwork this, but one of his lines is, it's about Saigon Buffalo, and it's talking about how their hardest year is the sophomore. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really do American things, but sophomore is second year at college, right?
That's correct. There's something called a sophomore slump, if you know what that is. It's where
I don't know what that is.
It's attributed to when you come in as a freshman, you can be a lot better than what you would expect a freshman to be, but then you don't improve nearly as much as a sophomore to continue that trend. So you come in as a very talented freshman, and then you develop as a sophomore, and it's not as much as you'd expect because you were already so good as a freshman that people see it as regression of some kind. And it's really popular in like American football, like NFL. If you're familiar with like sophomore slumps, somebody comes in as a rookie, does really well. Hosbed is once again fighting Hero. That was a lot of healing. Okay.
This could be Hero's slight redemption arc, charging forward, the Ignite ticking down, but not ticking for long enough. So to go back to the sophomore point, last time I checked, Saigon Buffalo's first year, with this team, this iteration of players, was last year. So this is their sophomore. But Saigon Buffalo already beat Team Secret, so as far as I'm looking, their sophomore's not looking that hard.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that we go year-wise in esports. We go like split-wise. And split-wise, that would have been Winter, and Winter was really bad for Saigon, so...
I know some analysts wouldn't count Winter as a split, but it did exist, and it did not go well for Saigon Buffalo. They missed out on playoffs. So did Team Secret as well, and they both bounced back rather well.
Hit 2? No? All right. Never mind.
No.
I was hoping for it. It just didn't end up coming through. You could have just ruined 2 people's days.
It's a Baron on spawn as well. This is... I mean, we talk about have Team Secret played this badly. Saigon Buffalo have just played this so well, and they've not given Team Secret a chance to come back in. And now Hazmed looking to zone away the entirety of Team Secret away from the Baron Nashor. Taki jumping in as well. Pantheon in behind relatively low, but look how much damage Froggy has just put out. Eddie and Artifact flashes a forced flash over the Krug pit wall. It will be a 1-for-1. A top laner for support looking towards Hero, but BJ has been charmed. We'll be able to get the defenses up, and we'll be able to stop Team Secret from aggressing any further. That is a successful fight, though, for Team Secret, as they stop Saigon Buffalo from being able to secure the Baron Nashor.
They do, but they're going to lose mid inner tower, so that's a really big thing. Froggy, as well as catching top wave, he has to be very careful about this. Okay, I think he gets vision on a couple of different members, and he's just not going to walk anywhere else. Never mind, I'm wrong.
Uses the self-ult, the charm, beautifully timed from Artifact, goes golden, buying so much time, there is no way for him to survive, and the shutdown, this time, claimed by Eddie.
And they didn't even get mid-inner tower off of this. So this was a little bit of a stumble from Saigon Buffalo. I think they were calling not for the Baron because it wasn't the fastest one in the world. I loved this ultimate combination from Shogun and Taki to put this ultimate from the Renata through every single member on Team Secret. The problem is it meant that Taki was so far forward, he bumped the W himself instead of putting it onto Hazmed, which I think was the optimal person to put it on to allow him to fight through the middle of everybody really effectively. Not to mention, I think Eddie flashed over the wall. It originally put him out of position, but as they chased further into the jungle, it meant that they didn't have vision of Eddie, and he could just deliver auto attacks with red-white very effectively. And so as the terrain kind of changed around Saigon Buffalo, that fight slowly got worse for them over time, which is what caused them quite a bit of grief in the grand scheme of things. Now, again, it's not indicative of the fact that I think it's a winning situation for Team Secret, but very, very significantly, I think they do need to keep Shogun involved. I think Shogun's still their main damage dealer alongside Hazmed inside of these big team fights. Hazmed's also fallen behind at least a little bit. Yes, he's 2-2-2 versus the 0-3 of Hero, but Hero is, I think, just more powerful pretty significantly at this point in the game. So when it comes to team fighting, the Aatrox is still valuable, but they got to get him some pop-off moments if they want the gold to be there to really do what I think they want the Aatrox to accomplish in this comp.
In other words, Saigon Buffalo need to continue accelerating this game. They can't let it stagnate. They can't give Team Secret a chance to get back in and allow Hero to get stronger and stronger. I mean, just look at the CS gap in the bottom lane. That's nearly a flame horizon of Shogun already. And we talked about how important this bot lane matchup is. We talked about the differing types of playstyles. But playstyle or not, Shogun is absolutely popping off in this game so far.
Yeah, I think there's very legitimate reason that, like, I consider Shogun to be top 2 ADC. I might actually consider Shogun to be the best ADC, which sounds like some bias towards like Saigon Buffalo, but honestly, I really cannot come up with anybody who's played a lot better of a second half of the split, at least, as Hosmed is going to get caught out here.
He is, and it's a kill for Hero, a bit of extra goal into your back pocket, as we like to joke about here on the VCS. But Team Secret starting to find some picks, although Saigon Buffalo, having picked up that Hextech Drake, they are now just 4.5 minutes away from Hextech Soul, which I feel like is a deficit that even Team Secret wouldn't be able to come back from.
It's a matter of, like, Saigon hasn't, I think, pushed this necessarily to a point where they just win outright in a game like this, but Hextech Drake would make it nigh impossible to kite away from Shogun. And Shogun is ridiculously strong already when the Wit's End and the Runans kind of come through. The fight is all but chalked from the side of Team Secret, especially with the Hex Soul, which is why you said, you know, they have to keep accelerating. I don't think that's true at all. I think their team fight is much more contingent around making sure that they can put all their members in the right place. And Shogun getting on top of multiple members and putting in auto attacks, I think is the most important thing. If it's not Shogun putting out damage, it has to be Hosmed. But if you get Hextech Drake, I think it's easy enough to put Shogun in the right position at basically any time. And so that is the death sentence like you had attested to previously. It also opens up for, like, you know, when Froggy jumps in, there's a lot better kind of usage of, like, all the soft CC and the hard CC that the Lysandra is going to have. It also opens up for BJ to be a lot more aggressive because it can set up the rest of his team to kind of follow up. You can play a lot more fast and loose, I think, with the Hextech Soul than what you had previously, as Saigon Buffalo, again, continuing to just posture around the Baron. It's forcing Team Secret into these situations where they can't just, you know, sit around and farm to their heart's content. They have to play respectfully.
Froggy flashing forward, 2-man CC over the wall, but they go straight on in to Ataki. And look at the damage that Shogun is putting out. Artifact on the retreat, Eddie down, Shogun throwing the spears over the wall, but Artifact will be able to flash away just in time. Saigon Buffalo get 2 kills for 1, and this time they should be able to pick up the Baron.
So there are a number of things that went super well for Saigon right here, but really and truthfully, it was Froggy's access to everything that did it, I think, the most. No smite here should mean that it's just a fight attempt coming out from this Team Secret squad, as it's 4 versus 4. Artifact and Hero are back, but there's no ultimate from Artifact. It is just Hero's ultimate, and they're going to respect it, and I think that's a very, very valid reason to leave this Baron pit. They have no reason to flip the game on Baron here and potentially give it over. This is how things started. Again, it was Froggy finding a decent play into Artifact. It immediately calls for BJ to ult into the back right here as they found the jungler. I also really love it. Once again, the Renata ultimate useful for stalling this play, and then the Kalista ultimate as well useful for stalling the play. They get Penguin, which is enough to open up the possibility for this. Eddie almost does enough damage to really kind of hard carry the fight, but it just doesn't matter because it's too little too late. They've lost enough members, they've lost enough health bar to push them out of the jungle for a second and force that TP from Hero.
Team Secret have been able to dissuade Saigon Buffalo once again from the Baron Nashor, but now we're in a situation where Saigon Buffalo are going to get through that Baron so quickly. Shogun on 3 items has a Guardian, or not a Guardian Angel, has a stopwatch as well. It's going to be so hard to kill this Kalista, especially when you consider the amount of protection that is around him when you look towards Froggy, BJ with a free stun, and then you've got to be able to make your way through on Taki's hostile takeover as well.
Yeah, it's taken, I think, a few minutes longer than we would have wanted for Saigon to, given just how early the lead was. But the fact that they've got an early game composition and they're really good at team fighting, but they have to be wary of, like, you know, you do have Hero scaling, you do have Eddie scaling eventually inside of this game. I think they played around that gorgeously because, again, they're playing around the psychology of, okay, we're going to go to Baron. And so Team Secret can't really sidewave the way that they want to. They can't really side lane the way that they want to, especially when Hero's TP is down. And it's forcing them to play into these fights where, like, even if you go 1-for-1, maybe it feels good for Team Secret, or in theory it's good for Team Secret, but really all they're doing is buying time for Dragons. Like, now Team Secret, once again, they get pulled away from the mid lane, they get pulled away from bottom side and top side, as all of those are set up very effectively for this team. Because Saigon Buffalo, again, they're playing towards their win condition of the soul really being more than anything else at this point.
Hero looking for a play. Hostile takeover does land. In comes BJ Zhuhao, forced to burn the Devour on his top laner.
That's
Eagle One
massive.
has been used by the Gwen as well. Saigon Buffalo forced under their tower, but they only use a couple of ults.
Yeah, the ultimates they use actually aren't very good. It's BJ's ultimate, and then Taki's ultimate is really valuable. But they burned Hero's ultimate, they burned Penguin's ultimate, and they burned the biggest one, the Tom Kench ultimate, to defend against players. When again, they're currently kind of splitting between top lane and working into the mid lane, working into the jungle. But I wonder if Hosmed should just keep pushing here.
There is no paranoia available, and now Hosmed is coming on the flank. Hero already down so low. Moonlight Vigil comes out, chunks down Froggy and Taki, but not nearly enough. Hosmed over the wall, and this Aatrox is massive. And he will fall. 2 kills for the side of Saigon Buffalo. Now they're looking for Artifact. Charmer will land, but it does not matter. The Aatrox's sticking power is immense, and Saigon Buffalo are gonna wipe Team Secret. Just Penguin left standing. Froggy goes gold and stays alive. 5 for 2 for Saigon Buffalo.
And a bit of desperation coming out from the side of Team Secret, because they were stuck in a really bad situation. They were forced into the river. They said Saigon was basically just like, hey, either you fight us here with 4 versus 5, because Hosmed is currently top lane taking your tower when you don't have your most important ultimates, or you give up the bottom river and you go up, you're at the top wave, you try to stand back a little bit longer, but you're going to lose soul. And so because Team Secret down those 3 tools, they end up losing the fight really quickly against Saigon Buffalo. It was all too easy for them to just walk away. And that nets them hashtag gold, that nets them turn, that nets them a 12k gold lead, 13k gold lead. This game's over. Like, it's just done from the side of Saigon Buffalo. At least it should be, in theory, to set up Shogun. And you can see, again, the idea is here, right? Like, you try to get a pick on BJ, you try to do something on the other side of this fight, but the entrance from Hosmed, the amount of time it takes to actually kill somebody between like Froggy's ultimate, Sonya's, anything like that coming through, made it really difficult, as well as BJ just not dying at any point. That was their really true pick intention, because I think they were trying to go for smite removal just so they could grab up the dragon, but unfortunately just does not work out for them in the slightest, as Team Secret just end up kiting backwards. Penguin gets this little tab at the end, is just this one little kind of asterisk at the end of the fight, but it does not matter because Saigon is perfectly comfortable winning the game in exchange for BJ's KDA.
Now that's a Hex Exole on the side of Saigon Buffalo, which means this poke from Froggy and BJ is going to be so much more impactful. One of the key players that we were looking at for Saigon Buffalo was Hosmed, because he's such a good top laner, and against Hero we were essentially saying if he can get ahead in lane, if Hero's unable to match him, he can just run over this game, and that's what we've been seeing in the last few minutes from Hosmed on this Aatrox.
Yeah, the initial laning phase wasn't great for Hero. I think eventually the 1-for-1 ended up going towards Hero because there was nothing used to help Hosmed out. A lot of those towers were given to Shogun, a lot of the towers were given to Froggy, and so a lot of the mid-game gold was really handed over from other players. As that's just a mid tower, that's just a mid kill, and they're trying to kill Aatrox on the top side, but he's not even dead yet. They've lost inhibitor for it.
Hey, they make a 1-for-1. I feel like that's kind of worth. I don't know, because they've lost their mid lane inhibitor tower. They've lost their inhibitor as well. Look, Saigon Buffalo have to get something right now. And Team Secret aren't being allowed to walk through their own Nexus towers. There's a redemption being dropped down as well. As Saigon Buffalo are just going to take down the first Nexus tower. Moonlight Vigil comes out, but it does absolutely no damage to Froggy. And now the Nexus is laid bare and exposed. And Saigon Buffalo, they don't want the Nexus yet. They want the ace. A triple kill for Shogun, and game 1 for Saigon Buffalo.
And it's an incredibly clean game plan. It's really solid drafting around the early portion of the game, and it's just a ton of action that came out from Saigon Buffalo. In my opinion, they played this game about as perfectly as they could have ever wanted this one to turn out. Every single player playing to very, very high level. I think Froggy stepped up massive in this series. BJ was amazing on the Pantheon. That's something that I don't think they can let through again. But to me, the real stars like Shogun and Taki, they took resource from the beginning of the game. They made this Callista pick work. They forced it down the throat of Team Secret, and now they have to worry about that. Like you said, they let them blind it at, as early in the draft as they did, and it did not turn out well for them. Team Secret has to rethink some things, I think, walking into game 2 on a very holistic scale. Otherwise, this could be a quick day.
Nearly a 20k goal lead for Saigon Buffalo at the end. Team Secret didn't get a single Drake. They didn't get a single tower. They didn't pick up a Rift Herald. Saigon Buffalo looking absolutely dominant in the opening game of playoffs. But we're going to be heading into a short break. And when we return, we will be having our analyst desk breaking down that first game of this series. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 1-0 to Saigon Buffalo, the Yulway side of the German Civil War, currently in the lead. My name is Carrix. We've gotten rid of Kindred Plush for now, but with me is Tim and Clockwork. And Tim, I'm going to go to you first because you were on the SGB side of the train. What went right?
Bot lane was an absolute draft disaster, I think, already for the side of Team Secret, and you have the clearly worst bot lane going in, so I think you have to have a decent matchup for Eddie. Make sure that Shogun maybe doesn't have a very aggressive AD carry to boot, and then you have a chance, but I think in this case, it was all over very quickly. Then I really liked also BJ going top, making sure Hazmat had a small lead. After then, leaving him alone because he had that small lead. He could basically play the lane 1v2, 1v3 at times. And I think overall, Saigon early game looked very nice. And then the mid game, not so much.
Looking over on the other side of the coin, Clockwork, you're a Team Secret diehard. How do they fix it for game 2?
For sure, bot lane will be a concern that they need to address. But I also want to point out that mid lane was a problem this game. Okay, I'm not a fan of the Ari into Lissandra matchup, and especially Team Secret being red side, going for the Ari for Artifact instead of waiting for a counter pick and to put him into a comfortable position basically devoided their star player of all the options to impact the mid game in a meaningful way. So I want better champions for Artifact. I want something that gives him more agency and less agency to Froggy, because that's what they need to win their games. So please, better mid lane picks and yeah, that's the first thing I want to see from them.
For sure. Now, Tim, I don't think they get Callista again. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think
Probably
Shogun will be allowed to play Callista, particularly now that SGB should be moving over to the red side of the draft. Team Secret did select red side, which I think didn't really make a lot of sense to us when we it clicked in our heads. Because, of course, they got side selection. They were the higher seed. But they ended up with 3 losing lanes, which is doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. But to get to the crux of what I'm asking you, they're not going to get Callista again. They're not going to get Callista Renata. So where do you want to see Shogun go to keep this bot lane lead alive?
I think by merit, I think Shogun already is a better player. So I wouldn't even hate it if they go, for example, into a handshake matchup where I just believe he can build up the pressure. For example, if you get a Zeri, if you get even Sivir, if you get even a Jinx, we were talking about it because it's played in LJL. I think if you, for example, go with a Jinx into Eddie's Aphelios, then yes, Aphelios has more mid-game power, but I just believe that Shogun is a better player, can basically skip that part by playing a good lane, getting a bit of a farm lead, getting a push in the lane, and then being accelerated by his mid-jungle duo. And suddenly, I think we all agree, once Jinx hits 2.5, 3 items, she's still an absolute monster in those team fights. And I think still that is a good option for them. Similar thing with Zeri. Yes, you don't have the laning strength, but you have a mid-jungle duo that basically exists to serve you. So I think if you have that once again, it doesn't really matter the bot lane matchup. It more matters, can you play your game plan?
Clockwork, staying on the ADC point for just a little bit, this Lucian ban, I kind of think they're helping Team Secret by banning out the Lucian. Do you actually want to see them going to the Lucian Nami?
Okay, as a Nami lover, I do not think that Lucian Nami will be an option in this series. Mainly, what seems to be the matter for both teams, actually. In general, they do this handshake between Zeri, Sivir, and Aphelios. However, Shogun does not play the Aphelios. So, in principle, one would expect Team Secret to be able to have more option and to leverage these bot lane matchups. They have a wider fan of options. So I want to see Team Secret kind of pigeonholing Buffalo in some, off meta picks, in some more awkward position for their AD carry.
Moving to the mid lane, I do want to bring that graphic up. We touched on it very, very briefly before game 1, but Tim, I want to give you a better opportunity to talk about this one because I know you are much more down on Froggy than the rest of our broadcast is. So how do you think this mid lane matchup goes now that we're moving into game 2 and onwards?
I mean, it should be going towards Artifact. All the stats say it. I think the champion pool sort of say it. And specifically, I think also the MVP voting, I think, said it. He should be the better player. And I think everybody would agree. Before this, he was. In the last game, he really didn't show that. And I think... I don't even know if champion pool matters too much for those two players in this series. Because I think the only champion that extremely matters on the side of Artifact actually is the Azir. He hasn't played too much of because it was also banned a decent amount. But I think that would be an interesting one. I think what else matters really into Froggy could, for example, be this Swain. Because I think if you look at Froggy's champions, outside of the Silas, there's not really anything to greatly answer the Swain. Because usually the answers to Swain are Victor, are Azir, are these control mages who can just poke him out in lane and then be big teamfight threats, similar to what the Swain brings. So I think outside of the Silas, he's really hampered against that. And I think that could be a great pickup here for Artifact.
Well, with that, into draft we go, and it's a jungle-focused ban list from Team Secret. 3 bans being thrown directly at BNJ's Pantheon, Poppy, and Vi will not be available. So far, it's ADC bans from SGB, Sivir, and Lucian being removed. I think you kind of have to add Callista to that list, though that might end up in a bit of a strange position where it's very Aphelios trade.
I hope not. Don't ban Kalista. Force Eddie on Kalista, please. Yeah. And now they first pick Kalista, you get Draven Renata, and you clap the Kalista. That's what I want to see here. Because everything else outside of
Wukong is open, and Team Secret really likes this matchup because they pinched BNJ's champion pool with Wukong open too.
I don't think you can ban 3 junglers and then not first pick Wukong. BNJ just picks Wukong.
I want to see Wukong and Renata, because I think like everything else that is good with Kalista usually is very weak to Renata, of course, because engaged champions are Mumu, Nautilus, those kinds of champions. So I think I want to see Renata and Wukong here. You already have great team fighting. You don't have to pick your AD carry. You can easily pick AD carry on 3 depending on what you want, and you're not giving away that really strong Renata Kalista lane.
Okay, this draft is already a tragedy for Team Secret. They were coming in with a sort of an idea to, what I said. Team Buffalo replied in a very smart way, and now they can also go for example, the Renata, as Team said, the Yumi, the Lulus, because Team Secret will not pick Seri, so they have the world at their feet.
They do pick up the Renata. This seems like a massive draft fumble to me by Team Secret. Yeah, you got the Kalista, but I don't know how well Eddie's going to do on that one. But the big thing for me is that if you're going to ban 3 champions at a roll, and the enemy jungler still gets the best jungler in the meta, you've just completely ballsed it up. They get the Kalista or Mumu lane. It has kill potential, don't get me wrong, but if you slam a Draven here, what do you even do as Secret?
And you're not picking jungle here. Wait, you're not picking jungle here. Yeah, no, we're picking Draven.
You're tanking 5 jungle bans for Penguin.
Yeah, I want to see Trundle and Jarvan taking out. Honestly, Jarvan...
I think you have to ban Nocturne against Secret.
Yeah, honestly, you take away the Jarvan. I think it's Trundle and I think it's Nocturne. Because the Jarvan, yes, sounds nice, but Jarvan EQ can also be cancelled by Draven and cancelled by Renata Handshake, which makes it really hard. Chinzal is actually the champion they do take out, so maybe they're not too scared of the Trundle, even though I think the Pillar could be really impactful here together with a Mumu engage.
Another viable pick that could come here for Penguin is the Lee Sin. Not popular in the split, but we have seen him play. I maintain that the Jarvan in this case would be better, because if I'm Team Secret, I would try to put as much stocks into the team fights as possible. However, yeah, it's hard for them.
So they are going to end up leaving the Nocturne open, and Team Secret, they love Nocturne. It wouldn't surprise me to see them pick that up. But
Seraphine is open.
Nocturne is not particularly good. They're actually just going to go to Froggy's Galio. This is looking like an absolute just stomp early and then win 2 team fights in the mid game and win the game.
I'm interested because like Galio is a good pick here, but I felt like Seraphine is stronger. Yes, you're giving over Seraphine ulti to the Silas, but that doesn't really matter. You have a Seraphine ulti for yourself. But Galio for sure is the option where you want to gank bot, and you want to gank bot a lot. Now, the cannon being hovered would mean another AP threat, and yes, that's very nice with a Mumu, but you're also, if the Kalista falls off the game, out of the game, you're not having any AD damage, so the Kalista has to get ahead here. Yes, the Viego would be better for getting some more AD damage, but still Viego, it's not in the best spot right now.
Team Secret, what are you doing to me, to your number 1 fan?
Draft. This draft is from the start of the split.
I cannot believe they are doing this to me. To me, their number 1 fan, they're picking in my face Viego and Kennen, 2 of the champions that I hate the most. I don't know now, Hero, yeah, he might be comfortable on the Kennen, but Buffalo has the counter pick for Hasmed, so Psycho Buffalo is winning all over the table, and there's very little tools that Team Secret have to either win lanes, win team fights, because they're not doing that with Galio and Draven, and late game, I'm not sure they even scaled that much better. So, Team Secret, what are you drafting?
And I love the Gregor's last pick here as well, to just keep out the cannon out of team fights. You have the E, you have the ultimate, to make sure that little Electro Rebirth doesn't get into your backline. And overall, I think we all agree. Saigon, they really took the draft.
I completely, I have to agree with you. I think Team Secret hasn't ended up with the worst composition ever. It does have some inherent synergy. A Mumu Cannon is a good combination, don't get me wrong. Though, as you pointed out, Gragas makes that very hard to execute. I just think overall the way they handled the ordering of their picks, I think could have been done better. But regardless, I have to get a prediction out of both of you. Clockwork, is Team Secret going to bring it back to 1-1?
No, but if there's one angle that they can take advantage of to maybe pull a win of those Joseph defeat its Artifact and hope that he pops off on the Silas, and he has a wealth of ultimate to steal from, so there's still that chance. Artifact needs to pop absolutely off, but it's still 2-0 secret for me, Buffalo for me.
Well, Artifact might need to get as many kills as Clockwork has ping. Tim, I just need one word from you. Who's winning game 2?
Saigon Buffalo, who else?
Easy, that's 4 words, by the way. Anyway, on to the Rift we go with my favorite casting duo, Rebel and Milky. Take it away.
Thank you very much for that, Carrick. I think he put it very well when he said that he made that comment about Clockwork's pings. Or I guess we could also say Saigon Buffalo slicing Team Secret's hope harder than that bottle slice, Carrick's as well.
Ah! Okay.
What? Are you okay? Was there a spider on your wall, Rebel?
No, you didn't see the screen?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Okay,
I
yeah.
thought that was Spoot for some reason. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Spoot.
Some spooky ghost monitor coming out of nowhere. It's just terrifying for us. Yeah, I don't even think that was our producer. They're pretty sure that was a VCS production, so I'll put it on them as just trying to scare me a little bit right there. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying okay, talk about the game. Yeah,
okay, talk about the game. Yeah, I wasn't going to go any further with this. As it's another game where it feels like Saigon is prepared for what Team Secret has. Team Secret looks. I know our analysts talked about being a little bit lost in the draft and things to talk about in that. I don't know. There's so much here that also just gets completely thwarted by Renata. You got a bunch of low-range champions yet again, where it's like Saigon Buffalo says, okay, we will simply press Renata ultimate, and then you'll not have the engagement that you are looking for. I don't know. It feels like Saigon came to play, came to draft. They were prepared for today, and Team Secret does not feel prepared for today in the slightest.
We've always praised the VCS, and for any of those who... Were you sniggering at my comment, Rebel?
No.
Were you sniggering? Okay, cool. So, for those people who are new to the VCS, we've always praised Saigon Buffalo and their coach Ren in particular for being very good, very creative with their drafts. And this feels like Ren, again, stepping up massively in this series for Saigon Buffalo. And again, out-drafting Team Secret completely. And we're seeing Ren and particularly Shogun essentially saying this is how you deal with a Kalista. Penguin looking towards the bot side. We asked for more aggression from Penguin, but the support is already dead, and now Penguin is practically in a 1v2. Eddie trying to do damage, but Shogun flashes forward. He hands checks Eddie, and he breaks his hands in the process.
Yeah, see, this is why you don't create a fan club for players that are bad, Milky. You don't create a fan club for Eddie when he gets absolutely trounced in this bot lane, gets double killed at only 2 minutes into the game. Okay, never mind, I spoke a little too soon. Unfortunately, I cast a curse Saigon Buffalo by making it so Artifact would get a kill against Froggy here at the beginning of the game. They were trading really heavily. What exactly prompted this? Because Zuhao, I don't think flashed. I don't remember him flashing at any point here. Okay. Zuhao, what are we doing, man? He didn't even press an ability. He just sat there and waited for the autos to come through. And then there was this also from Eddie, stepping back up right into Taki's E that allowed the flash auto from Shogun, which just wins the situation completely. It doesn't even matter that Artifact gets a kill. Like, the fact that your Draven now has 2 kills to kick off a game like this, it means that bot lane is nigh unplayable.
Okay, so just quickly, Rebel. Can we blame Eddie for that? Because that to me just looked like, okay, we can.
I can blame Zuhao for Zuhao's positioning, but I can blame Eddie just as easily for Eddie's positioning because it was disastrous. As Zuhao is again in mid lane, he's going to get pulled back. Will they actually put out the damage?
Handshake from Taki, but there is no ignite. Zuhao will survive, and Artifact's just wondering why are there supports in my lane? I was having a great time into Froggy until you guys showed up.
Zuhao, what are we doing, man? He's like the epitome of a Amumus right now inside of the VCS split. Our Amumus have not been good. They're very low KDA. This is the solo kill from earlier, as this was just Artifact, I think, getting the better of Froggy. Oh, Froggy just got clowned a little bit right there. I think he got tricked by the damage that came out from Artifact because he was only an E away from, I think, turning, Eing, hitting him with the Justice Punch, auto-attacking, and maybe a Q, and he probably kills Artifact, but it was just enough damage. The Shogun now is...
Look at that movement speed, it's scary, and he's just gonna get run down, and Shogun picks up the kill. I think Taki gave Shogun a bit of a burst of movement speed that helped Shogun out, but ooh, Eddie, my boy, can't be doing that in playoff.
this is a disgusting bot gap series. Every single lane we've seen, every single interaction we see is just Shogun and Taki bullying these two on the bottom side. Zuhao feels lost. Eddie right there, I think he was too far up. He was confident with the level 4, maybe that he didn't have to worry all that much about Shogun just running at him when that was always going to be a fear to have. Not to mention, I mean, Eddie has just ditched the idea of boots, is going right for first item, which, like, you know, it's a very standard thing to go for boots quickly, especially, you know, as Callista and into a lane where you have to be dodging some axes and you have to be getting some distance from Draven. I don't know, like, this doesn't feel like a playoff prepared bottom side at minimum right now from Team Secret. As, again, the Draven continues to spiral just completely out of control. This time it's not even BJ causing problems. It is just the bottom lane throwing away kills.
Absolutely, and it's Shogun just hand-checking Eddie, saying, okay, you think you can play the Callista? You think you can do what I did to you in game 1? This is how you deal with the Callista. You pick Draven, and you clap the Callista. And that's exactly what Shogun is doing. It's been a fantastic performance so far from him. The man has picked up a Sheen. I didn't even realize you can pick a Sheen this early on Draven. I didn't even realize it was, you know, part of the build pass. I forgot Essence.
Oh, you haven't seen the Essence Reaver with early lethality? Oh, you're in for a treat, man. You drop 300 damage on an auto attack because you enhance Sheen damage and you have advanced Q damage and you've got penetration. If you think the lane's been going badly now for Eddie, you haven't seen anything yet. It's gonna be real bad.
Juhao's on a ward of Froggy flashes. Hijacked Hero's entrance. Artifact joins in, but Juhao has already fallen. Now it's a 3-on-1. The Hero's entrance from Froggy. Froggy's going to survive with a bailout. Can they get the kill on Artifact in time? No, they can't. So it becomes a 2-for-1. BJ finds one kill. Penguin making his way over, but just watches Eddie picking up the kill onto BJ.
And a couple of kills inside of the jungle. I think almost unnecessarily aggressive from Saigon Buffalo, looking for more. They do get Artifact at minimum, and I think they pulled Zuhao as well, so it ends up
Eddie,
just a 2-for-2.
Don't go there. Eddie, you will die. Just get away from that tower, buddy.
It's a circumstance. Hero also burned Flash because Hosmed is doing enough to kind of bully him at the beginning of the game. The thing is, Shogun hasn't left his lane at all yet. Like, that right there was just it was a combination of BJ, Froggy, and Taki just showing up in the right circumstance. In a fight where Shogun shows up to this, I think it gets even worse. But these are some of the weaker members. And I love this from BJ because BJ cleans up 2 kills here, which means the Wukong is now activated for a game like this. Artifact stalled this for such a long time, and you can really appreciate that Artifact nearly won this situation. I was surprised they didn't have the damage to kill Artifact right here. That's why BJ had to go aggressively into Eddie. The other thing is, again, if Shogun enters this fight, he maybe gets an entrance and is able to help kill off Eddie before the show up, like Penguin shows up to the fight, but perhaps too little too late. Instead, he just stays bottom lane and continues to bully, because that's like the 8th time that Eddie has had to back this game. There are 2 plates off this tower at 7 minutes before the Rift Herald is even around, just because Shogun has felt like throwing auto attacks in the right direction. It's been something else.
And now Artifact thinking that he's caught out Froggy, and BJ shows up. Artifact forced to walk away from the chicken pet.
Did you die again? Yep.
Yes, he did. Whoa,
this is so unfair. Like, this is so unfair.
How? I'm gonna be honest. This is starting to look like my solo queue Mumu.
Yeah. Your solo queue Mumu. I mean, he's got to hit 10 deaths, but honestly, the way Zuhao's been playing this one, he might hit that.
Excuse me, that only happens when I play Morgana. I'll have you know, on a Mumu,
12 kills, 12 deaths.
12 deaths, exactly. Yeah, I'm going full Mickey.
How do you die 10 times on Morgana? What? She stands like 1,000 miles away from everybody. How are you even close enough to die?
So my issue is, I'm a tank support player, so whenever I play enchanters, I play with a positioning of tanks because I don't engage my brains. So that's why I die a lot.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah,
we're ignoring this right now. You're playing like Zuhao. Can Shogun 2v1 underneath of his tower? Find out this time on Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't matter because Taki showed up anyway. But the bottom lane being as powerful it is a very meaningful thing. I will say some teams have struggled, at least from what I've seen, to play around a Draven as a primary carry on a team. So I do worry. I don't have that problem for Saigon. I think Saigon's good enough at team fighting. And I think, I give nothing but props to Shogun because I think he's an absolute masterclass of an ADC as of this split. But it is something to note that, again, there is quite a bit of follow-through when it comes to the engagement from Team Secret, where, like, you do have Callista, you do have a Mumu, you can throw a Silas and a cannon, you can kind of throw everything in the kitchen sink at Saigon Buffalo and hope to catch the Draven out. And the only real defense to that is Taki, and then Froggy. I think DJ can also pop things as well. Like, Hosmet's got a lot of peel to try to pull off of Shogun. It's just a question of how quickly the engagement can come through to try to kill him.
Body slam into explosive. Cast slicing maelstrom from Hero does absolutely nothing into Harsmed. It doesn't slice Harsmed, it doesn't cut Harsmed. And in the end, Hero will die for nothing.
Okay. So now, I mean, BJ is now just able to put focus at the top side of the map, which I think is well warranted. If you prevent the cannon from getting strong and you prevent this engage from doing a lot of damage on its initial kind of impact, it means that Shogun doesn't have to worry as much. And then all this counter engage I was just referring to actually comes into play. And it means that Shogun can focus down individual targets at a time. And so once Cannon's kicked out, I think it's all about shutting out Penguin from a game like this, making sure there's no dive pressure from Viego onto the Draven. And once that's dead in the water, there's just nothing left for Team Secret to accomplish in a game like this, because there is just so much of this counter engage that you have to worry about from Saigon Buffalo. As Rift Herald was also taken, which means BJ has so many options to what he wants to do. Oh, that's okay. This is a fight.
BJ lurking the bush. Cyclone comes out, but in goes Zhu Hao, drops down the ultimate, but from down comes the whirling death, and it is a death of 4 Penguins. Zhu Hao next on the list, and it is 2 kills for Saigon Buffalo.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, not gonna catch Eddie with that E, unfortunately, but I mean, the Shogun, I think the only thing we can critique is the fact that he's gotten basically no money from Draven stacks in this game because he's killing people so often that he just can't stack any Draven stacks. He's just constantly killing people and making it so that he cashes out like 50 gold at a time as opposed to a couple hundred gold. As this was a play that, like, with 3 members, I think if Zhu Hao is able to get there fast enough, maybe this play when they're split up is a little better. BJ getting out of this was also miraculous, using the W, using the ultimate to kind of stall for time. Hosbid showing up in the perfect little niche here to make sure that Zhu Hao gets punished and that there's no re-entrance from Artifact in the slightest. And it's going to be Shogun picking up first tower. It's going to be first Dragon in the game going over to the side of Saigon Buffalo. They still have Rift Herald to play for as well. And now Shogun is unleashed onto the rest of the map. This is not good for Team Secret in the second game in a row.
I feel like this play towards the top side may not work. Okay, never mind. Penguin is there. Froggy does not have a hero's entrance available. The first bandage toss does miss. Slicing Maelstrom through, and Harsmed will fall. But here comes Froggy. Penguin incredibly low. Zhu Hao going to try to zone, but the taunt lands onto Penguin. Use the Heartbreaker to be able to make his way out to safety, and Team Secret will just get the singular kill as a Whirling Death almost tags onto Penguin, but he will be able to survive.
Yeah, right there, Froggy just needed to be a little bit closer, because if even a single auto attack, I think, from Penguin would have netted at least 1, if not 2 turret shots, which would have certainly traded that 1-for-1 back in favor of, or at least tied it up for Saigon Buffalo. The big difference is Froggy's kind of presence, as well as Taki roaming across the map, means that they couldn't push for any more than just the 1 kill underneath the tower. And now Shogun gets to aggress against the mid tower, probably pull 3-4 plates off of this one. I think it's 3 plates after this comes through. The tower not going to go down completely at this point because of the defense of Zhu Hao and multiple members being here, but that is just still one of the meanest things I've seen. The fact that they can move Shogun into mid lane, just bully off 4 towers as a response to that topside play, where they needed 3 people just to kill off Harsmed, who is just the weak sider in this one, right? He's playing the Gragas. He doesn't plan to absorb that much resource in a game like this. Really, Saigon Buffalo's playing for Shogun, playing for that side of the map as much as they can. And even when Harsmed is aggressed against, they're getting something on the other side. Saigon playing exactly as they need to.
Now, for those people who know a little something about Japanese history, now, the thing is, Artifact, he was practically the MVP last split. I don't care what people say. He is leading our MVP votes in this split so far. He's practically the king right now. But here's the thing. The king in Japan, the emperor in Japan, didn't actually rule. It was the shogun who ruled. And that's exactly what Shogun is doing. He is showing that Artifact is meaningless to him. Shogun is calling all of the shots, the leader of the Shogun, effectively the police of the VCS.
Yeah, okay, so on one hand, I agree with you, and this would have been funny if it hadn't already been done before, so unfortunately, Milky, I think you're getting sent to the cringe compilation. Somebody's done it on VCS before. I can't remember who it was that talked about it. It was probably Carrix, if I had to take a wild guess, but somebody has definitely made the Shogun joke before, so...
I wanted to do it with SBTC, because then it's like Emperor, and then it works, but, you know, I had to make do.
You were too slow to the game, man. It's just not the case.
Yeah.
Also, if everybody starts jumping on the Shogun hype train, I just want it to be said first that I was the one that said he was the number 1 ADC of the split before anybody else did, because everybody's been on the style train a little bit more, the Artemis train a little bit more, and I think that he's the best. So before anybody else gets to jump on that cloud, that was me first, because unfortunately I don't like to be Milky where my comment gets stolen by somebody before I have a chance to say it.
I don't believe that has ever happened before, Rebel. But
Mhm.
okay, I will concede apparently it has been done, according to Carrick, 6 times before. So he's been counting them
6
as
times?
well.
Okay,
6
never mind.
times.
We're just burying that joke in the ground. Okay,
See,
Team
so
Secret wants,
I'm allowed to
wants
do
Rift.
it because I'm following a trend of copying it now.
Sure.
But as you mentioned, Rift Herald has been started by Team Secret. Saigon Buffalo are making their way over.
Oh.
This looks like it could be disastrous for Secret. They will be able to get the Rift Herald, but they can't pick up the eye. And now BJ engages with the Cyclone. The hero's entrance finds a 2-man knockup. Zhu Hao goes golden. Jar dives on in, and he lands the ultimate. The hijacked hero's entrance from Artifact does absolutely nothing. He just throws himself into the firing line, and Shogun picks up a double kill. Team Secret are getting absolutely wiped. 4 kills for nothing for Saigon Buffalo.
Goodness gracious, I'm really hoping that Team Secret is just as good as they were in the main split, because if they are, then Saigon Buffalo is just playing absurdly good League of Legends. 15 minutes into the game, this much dominance, having the mid tower down, having just about every structure they could ever want in the entire world. I loved this from BJ. He set up not around taking the Rift Herald, not around a fight trying to preempt the Rift Herald going down when Team Secret was prepared, but instead turned immediately once the Rift Herald was down to defend the eye more than anything else, and it meant that he had more time for the rest of his team to show up and put out damage. It was a great decision from BJ, being able to be followed up on by, of course, the Galio coming through from Froggy. And again, you can't really walk into this team because they have so much kind of area control with all of these champions that they weren't able to set up this big team fight that they would have wanted. Unfortunately, Artifact jumping in with that hero's entrance didn't do as much as they wanted. I don't think Zhu Hao's ultimate had the impact they wanted. And it meant that Shogun, you just got to pick any target that he wanted to across the board and just smash them. Just smash them with axes, the way that they intend the fight to kind of always play out. As Hosmed fancies a chance against Hero right here.
The explosive cask is available in a few seconds. Can Hero get the kill before it comes off? A cooldown? Minions? Hosmed used the explosive cask to kill the minion wave as well, just to ensure that he doesn't take any unnecessary aggro and die.
Well, I think the purpose for it was actually that he got level 12, so he leveled up and had no chance of dying anyway. It was a combination effect of both killing the minions, but there's a bottom side fight potentially coming through as...
You call it a fight, I call it a massacre. Turkey on the side, the hostile takeover, will actually be able to tag Penguin Artifact, just getting blown up so quickly. Harsmed picks up the kill, and Saigon Buffalo want more. They're looking for Eddie, who's trying to hop away with the Marshall poise, but will get caught and will fall. BJ picks up the kill, and Saigon Buffalo get 2 more.
And I think it's about time we start calling this for what it is, which is probably just a second Saigon Buffalo game win in a row. But this is a second dominant Saigon Buffalo win in a row. This is disgusting what they've been able to accomplish so far inside of a series. And what is going on with Team Secret? Like, how has this team looked so bad 1 week removed from being our number 2 team in the entire league? Like, how is that even possible? They did go 0-2 in their final week, I will say. But again, I thought part of that was just the fact that, you don't have to worry about your positioning in playoffs. Yeah. But this team is looking just completely a complete far cry from how they were earlier on in the split. Everything on Saigon is working and nothing for Secret is.
Slicing Maelstrom did absolutely nothing, Team Secret. They're trying to make picks, but you can't be picky eaters. You need your fruit and veg, and Team Secret are just getting murdered. 2 more kills for Saigon Buffalo. They're looking for Artifact. Harsmed flying towards the Silas. Eddie and Zhu Hao forced to just sit on the side and watch, but BJ has come in from the side. He's 1v2ing. He gets the kill onto Eddie, and he's looking for more. Fantastic handshake from Taki. And down goes Zhu Hao, 20 kills to 4. Before this game, Rebel, we were talking about bringing up certain narratives if Saigon Buffalo stomped Team Secret. I think we should have brought those up about 9 minutes ago, to be honest.
I am so dumbfounded by this. This should never have happened before. I mean, the fact was, walking in, I mean, it is the higher projected seed. I think anybody that's been watching the VCS would know that Saigon has been performing better as of late, but I was anticipating that Team Secret would show up when the time came. They are not showing up at all today. I wouldn't be shocked if they were worse than SE at this point. I know they lost to SE in the final week in a 2-0, but I thought that was more so just that they didn't have anything to play for, and SE had plenty to play for. But this is probably the worst I've seen this team play for basically the better part of 2-3 splits. Like, this is unheralded. Just how disastrous it looks. Right now, it feels like Artifact is like the only player that's actually accomplishing anything inside of this series, and nobody else has really been able to stand up to anything at all. And I wonder what happens in Game 3, because
I'm going to be honest, Rebel.
Sure.
I think Team Secret played better when they had Eddie on Lee Sin.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, but this team looks far worse than they were earlier in the split. And I do wonder what the change needs to be, because we talked about like the draft was a problem in the last game. The draft was still a problem in this game, but for very different reasons. And again, it feels like preparation is a bit of an issue here today, and that's not something you can really fix on the fly. You can try to draft better, try to draft more comfortable stuff, but that's the best you can do. But it feels like there's even more issues than that underneath the hood. Like they're clearly struggling in a lot of different avenues that they just haven't been for the majority of the split. It seems like coordination is completely off, and I don't know if it warrants something like a substitution for Skewed. I don't know if it warrants a substitution elsewhere on the map, but they have to figure out something, because right now this is not even a competition between these two teams. It is just a slaughter.
Hero uses a slicing maelstrom, can't even get in range of Shogun before he gets murdered. And Team Secret are just getting wiped. Saigon Buffalo are wasting no time. They haven't even taken an inhibitor tower, and they're picking up kills under the Nexus towers. An inhibitor tower down, Saigon Buffalo wiping Team Secret. Team Secret, they need to go back to the drawing board. I don't know, they need to go further back than the drawing board. They need to go to where the drawing board got created and shipped from, because Saigon Buffalo have wiped Team Secret, and Team Secret need to make some drastic changes. Otherwise, this is going to be one of the quickest 3-0s I've ever seen since G2 won at MSI.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable just how strong that this team has looked, and unbelievable how far, how flat on their face Team Secret has looked on the day. I can't even talk about Team Secret anymore. Just the fact that Saigon has come out with this much ferocity to kick off things off with. I wonder if they even care about Team Secret or SE inside of this event. It feels like those two teams, given the way that Saigon just smashed Team Secret, is not even going to be a competition between them and the other two teams. They are looking for first place, and they're looking for GAM. This would make the third tournament that they would be playing up against GAM in a final, and both times they've won a single game and kind of pushed for more, and looking like they could push it to 5 games or even like take a full series off. And maybe with some of this lane dominance, maybe with some of these extra picks coming in for the early game and their mastery of those champions, maybe they've got it. Maybe they can actually test GAM a little bit. I know we're a little bit of a far cry away from this series right now because they're not quite done with it, but if Saigon keeps this level of dominance up, I think it's going to be really difficult to kick out anything other than potentially them actually taking games off of GAM.
And it all comes down to, is it Team Secret playing badly? Is it Saigon Buffalo playing extremely well? Is it a mixture of both? One thing we do know is Saigon Buffalo are hands down better than Team Secret right now. And Team Secret, all they have left to hope for is a reverse sweep. We're going to be heading into a short break before we return with our analyst desk to break down that second game and to take us into picks and bans for Game 3. Stay tuned.
cause discord, misuse of worth, and the wool over my eyes when I needed support, to feel the burn, to lift me up to new heights. Sensation compelling, and I'm closer to the edge. Temptation alluring, yet I taste regrets. And who will pay the price, the lost or the damned? Well, nothing will open eyes like steel in my hand. We're heroes and villains by chance. Heroes and villains by choice. All in one voice. Beguiling words, painted lips with soot, made an empty shell of your lies. Exquisite hurt as the truth takes root in the hollows of your eyes. Sensation tormenting, and I'm closer to the edge. Temptation enduring, yet I taste regrets. Who will pay the price, the lost or the
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. They're written down in eternity, but you'll never see the price it costs. The scars collected all their lives. When everything's lost, they pick up their hearts and avenge defeat. Before it all starts, they suffer through harm just to touch a dream. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. When the world is calling out your name, begging you to fight. Pick yourself up once more. Pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die.
The eye of the tiger, the gaze of our power. From Dota's empire, we bring the fire. To the VCS, we conspire. See man, it's secret. From sea land to world champs, Loki the best. We wait for a test. East is our nest, the west is a jest. International stage is our book's next page.
We made top 6 at MSI. We are flying too damn high. Solo killed Guma and Carrier. Sorry, what was that? Couldn't quite hear ya. You thought that Froggy couldn't farm, but his Gallia roams warrant an alarm. 4-way flags, you can't respond. You're getting smashed if you jump in this pond. BJ continues to blossom in summer, while the other junglers are just getting dumber. Look to your left, look to your right. Oh shit, it's Taki from out of sight.
Wham, bam, here comes Gam. Loading into game to bury your fam. Kings with the VCS, this league's gotten old. Skipped MSI so we could lift up that goal. Dominate, eliminate, wreck every game. Enpa, hero, Kiaya puts you to shame. Levi's in the jungle, Vietnam's captain. Picking up kills, leading Garm to action. Roam like an eagle, gank like a bee. That's what you get when you mess with me. Mids off vision, waves crashing bot. You can burn all your sums, but living you're not.
hear the angels sing. Praise be the emperor, bow to your god king. Every top will drop to him alone. No one else who can take the throne. Greg's priority may seem whack, but he's sure to change your palette to blue and black. Step up if you can, but you'll soon see you can't mess with celebrities of SC.
GAM won SEA Games, but that's no claim to fame. Other teams are lame that even Flash could beat them every game. Levi and Wukong all day long, just hiding behind the fact that his hands aren't strong. You got us all banned, we feel betrayed. Now please stop typing and listen to the serenade. Behold, the circle of SE starts to spin. Now enjoy playoffs without a win. Enper playing nothing but Gwen and Na, but those two champions won't take him very far. Oh wow, he got a solo kill, but watching Husband, now that's a thrill. Team Secret easy win. Wanna make a bet? 3-2 spring semis, rent free in your head. Artifact best mid, MVP? I tell you what he is, finals absentee. Sure enough, the man can lane, but Froggy can even win on Kane. It is time to get ready. We are never going to take things slow and steady. LJL at MSI was only the start. Watch our PCS, you're next on our chart.
Buffalo think they can come for the crown? Call us the Matador when we put them down. Froggy picking weird shit, can't play standard. Cardi picking carries, leading our vanguard. Secret? Haven't been relevant since you were low-key. Coming to our finals? Gonna get choky. Artifact from the past, washed up, dried. Clockwork says you're good, but he's just lied. SE's got a fan base, but that's about it. 15 years and a prison sentence just from one split. Roosters load in our game, looking like the big cocks. Don't worry, we got the pick, and you're the easy lock.
So tell me, what's the secret? Surely it's not another Santa pick for Eddie. Boring. Little jungle penguin poured his little heart out. Tried to catch a dragon, didn't notice it's a cutout. Cam, is this your plan? Work beat to death? I understand. Elio's a no-go, it's no surprise. We knew that kid couldn't burst the sky. You're a solo lane team, but Kadi and Kiaya just keep giving performances, make you wish they'd just retire. Red cow laughing, bringing us the cheese, cause Froggy can't lane without Seraphine. Take a 3-0, leave your mental broken. Calling us Meiji, it's the end of the Shogun.
Mess with the ball and you get the horns. Set a little calf without the force. Kick those once, but no more. The hardest year, use your soul for more. It's just the fact that Artifact is mega cracked and Frogs retract. He'll get the mid and just redact. Gigabyte Marines you used to be when you were good. Now say thank you to B who got you oblique in the loop. Oh Hanke, are you okay? Do you wanna be with the VCS crew? Cause losing too much is stressing you. You want to win in style, you think you're ready. May I introduce you to the fan club of Eddie? The batlane won't hold. Juhao behold, you better get bold for your tickets to Worlds. Yo, chicken, doing fine. Your flightless bird looks on decline. Look at our penguin flying high. The jungle gap should be a sign. Did you say that DNK is on his hay game? We dropped him cause he was late to every lane. This is playoff, turn the lights off. Noctur's old, you shouldn't scoff. Darker and darker, you have no clue. The big brother is watching you.
Words say a little, shields the most. So we're the only ones with permission to boast. Spear on you like we too busy winning. We head towards your kid keeps singing. Your kid.
I heard there was a playoff rap battle. You mind if I join in? Guys? Oh man.
I want to point out that was Milky's idea. I just want to put it out there. Milky had the idea for
And
the
it
rap
was a
battle,
great
and
idea.
then didn't actually do a verse. But welcome back. It's 2-0 currently. SGB is kind of destroying Team Secret. Clockwork, how do you feel?
Look, I put on a good shirt because I thought this was going to be an important and exciting playoff series, but now it looks like I suited up for a funeral.
I
That's-
think it's draft time. No, is it already?
Are we just
Do
going
we
So
see
I
the
hope
third
not.
stump?
We
No,
are
no,
directly into draft. Wow, very, very
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Kalista Draven are banned, so that's already a good step in the right direction. And now Lucian and, of course, the Silver are banned on the other side. So 4 AD carries taken out together with Renekton and the Pantheon from game 1. And Penguin has the Wukong.
Surely they would pick Wukong, and finally they do. Now, Buffalo still has a lot of tools that they can pick. The Zera, for example, is still open. Seraphine can also be picked. And there are still junglers like Vi, we mentioned, very scary, very threatening, and the Poppy that BJ has played many times. Here comes Vi. So yeah, Team Secret starting much better than the first 2 games. Still, Buffalo can bring up fire.
They could go for the Zeri here or for the Yuumi, depending on what they want. If they go Yuumi, they basically want to have Zeri Yuumi because you don't want to pick Zeri without Yuumi. But there's always the risk that you could be Lulu. But it is actually the takeaway from Eddie. It is the Aphelios for the side of Saigon Buffalo. And I really like it as well, because what is Eddie really playing at this point? I mean, he could play Zeri, but
Surely he has the Zeri ready at this point. Could go the Cogmore, but Cogmore into Vi. Okay, he's just going to go for the Zeri. Makes sense. But Eddie has not shown very good performances on this champion. We obviously know it's extremely strong, but he has not been great on it, and it's against the Vi, which is such a good counter to it. I'm not a huge fan of Team Secret picking this up.
Now,
once again,
I would pick Lulu here immediately because it's a good counter against the counter that is Vi. Renata's still a good option, not the big one in my opinion. It's still doable, and the Pyke would be very spicy for Saigon Buffalo. We have seen Taki play the champion with big success. I don't think it will be round 1. Lissandra for Froggy. Please, Team Secret, do not pick Ari into it. Thank you. Now, there's a lot of mid lane champions that are open for artifacts, so I want to see Team Secret try and punish this mid lane pick as much as possible. Hard, because it's Lissandra, but still, fingers crossed.
Welcome back, Tim. What are you thinking so far?
I do like the Lissandra pickup, even though I hope we should see some support bans. Ashe is the first one. It is the obvious pick, but the pick that I really want to see, honestly, on the side of Saigon Buffalo on 4 is the Lulu. And it's actually a Pyke ban, and I love the Lulu here. It gives you so much survivability. Vi can go in, she can be saved. You have a failure of Lulu, which is a strong lane, and Lulu still has a good matchup into the Renata and into the Zeri. So just pick Lulu, and I'm a happy chap.
I'm surprised they banned the Ari when they've already picked the Lissandra. That smells to me of a bit of a wasted ban.
More or less, yes. But they did it to do me a favor. And also, to do me a favor, also the Seraphine pick, we highlighted a lot how this could come in. This will be probably support, right? Now, Azir is open. Azir is open. Oh, finally, some great champion for Team Secret that can scale, that gives Artifact a lot of agency. Now, we'll have to see if he can survive these. Probably early ganks will pay him. And last pick for the top lane, not the Aatrox, I hope, because Buffalo has to come pick, of course, for something safer.
They do that, they go the Gragas, but that means Hazmet gets Aatrox, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Gragas has a decently good matchup into the Aatrox. Specifically, it's not too bad. You can just counter sustain against the Aatrox both sides. Basically, sustain each other out, and especially if you would play with Face Rush, you can easily escape, or if you play with one of the poke runes. And that's actually very interesting because it's going to be the Ornn picked up for Hazmet, and that's something we've seen here and there from Hazmet, that he is ready to pull out the Ornn, and usually he had good performances on this champion. And now if I look at Saigon Team Comp, they have decently good damage, especially in the mid-game phases. So if you're going into mid-game, I think they're a great team. And I think that with it, Warren, they kind of say, okay, we have great team fighting. We need to win in the mid-game against Team Secret, because if we're going really late against Renata, Zeri, and Azir, it's going to be really hard. But with this mid-game team comp and with how the early game has gone, I think this should still be a good Saigon draft for them, where they can just snowball over.
Clockwork, what are your thoughts? Team Secret,
My
are we
thoughts-
going to a 4-game series?
We are. I mean, not 100% sure, but this draft for Team Secret has an angle for victory. They finally have an option. They didn't much with as I said, they have these late game options. So Team Secret can now establish, some game plan that brings them to a victory. This is likely to be finally a great game, unlike the first two. So yes, my hope is rekindled. Team Secret brings us to game 4.
All right, Tim, do you agree?
No, I think it's Saigon 3-0. I think, yes, they have probably the best draft of the series for now for Team Secret, but I think with how dominant Saigon has been, I think they can just close it out right here.
Fair enough. That would make your way absolutely unbearable for the next 3 days. So, let's maybe hope Team Secret can pick up at least a game. But you know what I hope for? I hope that we get to go over to the 2 best casters in the world, named Rebel and Milky. Take it away.
Rebel, I think that's a nice thing characters ever said to me.
I think he said it in general. He didn't say it to you. I'm going to take that away from you just as fast as I can.
I think he was like talking about our pairing together, because we both bring something that the other can't. I bring some stupid.
Okay, so now
don't have, and
yeah. So now here's the real question: is whether he said the best passing duo in the world named Milky and Rebel. There might be another pair somewhere that we just don't know about, which is the problem. Maybe he's actually slighting us, perhaps, and he's very disappointed with our existence in this game. Maybe that's the plan.
Are we just fake Rebel and fake Milky?
Maybe they're fake Rebel and fake Milky, but they just got better than us. Maybe that's how it works.
Maybe this is fake Team Secret, because this is not the Team Secret that we've been seeing so far in Summer Split, not even in Spring Split. I think you put it very well earlier on, Rebel, that this is the worst we've seen Team Secret looking all year, since Winter Split, in fact.
Yeah, they might be a fake, but I guess that's a secret. Yeah, I take the low hanging fruit. I'm unapologetic about it. That's fine.
No, don't apologize. That was good. I don't get what people are like, oh, you made a pun. It's like, just because you couldn't think of the pun yourself, don't knock others down. Puns are cool.
I think it's more so that people get angry because they can think of puns, and it's like somebody takes the low hanging fruit and they're like, okay, everybody thought of that, which is fair. Like that's an understandable aggression here, but it's not going to stop me from saying it because it's funny.
Everyone knows that you could say secret, but it's how you execute it, right? The best jokes can be simple jokes, but it's all about execution and the build up to them.
I suppose. Just like the best team compositions have all this build up to it, right? And they have all this kind of eventuality to them in some future to them, which is what Team Secret has drafted more so, I think, in this game than they had in the previous 2 games, which was it's not even just a game of scaling necessarily, but the fact that they have more agency to begin with. But then you also have Eddie on something that's a lot more team fight focused, and you have Artifact on the Azir. It feels like better champions than what they were equipped with in previous games. Is once again, Saigon Buffalo's bottom lane off to a very quick start of just putting some aggression into this bottom lane.
In fairness, this time it is Eddie on the Zeri, and I feel like Aphelios has a little bit more lane priority than Eddie does, but we saw it in game 1 when Shogun was playing on the Kalista and Eddie was playing on Aphelios, and it was Shogun just running the show. And now, again, I feel, especially with Taki being on the Seraphine, there is so much poke that can be coming through from the Saigon Buffalo bottom duo. But now we're seeing Penguin looking towards his top side, trying to find an opening to gank onto Hasmet.
Might find it as well. So he's got a little bit of space to work with. Although Hasmet's got, cookies, he's got grasp to work with. He's also got Flash still in hand, ready to work with. As Penguin find another avenue. As Penguin might jump over this wall, try to go over the Raptor wall. The Froggy, he kind of puts himself to a very good position to not be punished by that, as he has to continue backing off. As Penguin does get spotted out by the tower. And they were looking for something. He's a lot more active than Penguin has been previously, which is a nice thing to see inside of a series like this. Because again, Penguin has been pretty silent for the first 2 games. Played the Nocturne, played the Viego, both champions that like to scale up more than they like to kind of fight to begin with. And it has caused some strife. And so in this game, the Wukong already looking a bit more active, looking a little bit more vicarious than we had seen previously inside of the series for Team Secret.
I like that word, vicarious. What does that mean?
Just like more lively, I guess, is a quick way to
Okay.
summarize what that's supposed to mean.
Oh,
Very
that's
nice.
a nice flash Q from BJ. We've seen this over multiple series. BJ on this vibe, pulling off some really nice mechanics. Now, Hero has teleported to the mid lane outer tower, making his way over, looking for the body slam. Won't be able to find the CC onto Froggy. Do Team Secret want to aggress any further? Because Harsmed is on the north side of this river, making his way down. And now Hero has been left to himself. And now it's Artifact who's teleporting to the tower, looking to turn this into a 3v3. But Team Secret won't go any further.
Not quite the same winning situation we've seen from Saigon in a number of circumstances, but they actually have pulled both TPs from solo laners. They got the flash out of Artifact. They've had a couple of good plays right there off the back of BJ just being very aggressive on the Vi pick, which you can appreciate because, again, BJ, game 2 was a little more silent. I don't think he's had a bad game necessarily in either of these. The Pantheon was absolute masterclass. I will give that, but didn't look the same level of dominant in game number 2. And so already on this Vi pick, wanting to make some impact, has been able to do so as they're going to pincer Artifact, the E, fortunately enough to get him out, not really under any risk of that situation going poorly. And BJ hopefully will open some space for Froggy to find yet another back potentially in Artifact for free. Just go back, get some additional items, and come back to lane without having to worry about getting continually chunked out by artifacts this year.
To be honest, I can't really blame BJ in the previous game because you mentioned that maybe he wasn't as aggressive, didn't have the same impact as game 1. But then again, by the time he probably wanted to make his first gank, Shogun on the Draven was already 4-0. So
yes,
what
true.
can you do in that situation as a jungler to make it look like you're impactful?
Yeah, I mean, there's always other places on the map, and eventually I think both of them started leaning to elsewhere, just trying to make things happen, right? It was eventually Penguin that kind of stepped into like Artifact a little bit, but eventually it just kind of fell to the wayside, didn't do anything, and BJ wasn't ganking for bottom lane. He said, okay, top side's already got enough, so let's just worry about other places on the map, and eventually went top lane to help out Hosmid a little bit, set him up for some better success in the later stages, and maybe that's the play eventually here. I actually, okay, we're getting a lot more brawling than I would have expected. It's double kind of, soak lane here where like Hero can play tanky or can go AP, a little better AP. I think Gragas is in the top lane at the moment. But the Ornn is something that I really loved them picking up. When I saw this composition from them, I was like, wow, it would be really cool if they had Seraphine ultimate, they had Aphelios, they had a lot of like really lanky engage from Vi and from Lysandra. You either need something that dives alongside those two or something with a very long range engagement to work with. And so I was like, okay, Malphite I think works in this and does pretty well, but it's not great into Gragas. And then you pick Ornn, it's like, okay, he's going to scale. He just sits in laning phase alongside the Gragas. There's not much the Gragas is going to be able to accomplish. So late game, you're going to be able to hand out some of those Ornn items relatively freely. And again, that very long range is the thing that I really appreciate about this pick specifically, is BJ once again in the mid lane, freeing up some space for Froggy to not have to worry about Artifact just continuing to bully him off the wave.
This is risky because Artifact has a level 6 right now, and neither Froggy or BJ have level 6, which means that you don't have any free CC onto Artifact,
There's level 6.
And the Emperor's Divide could be big. And as you mentioned, Froggy gets his ultimate now.
But this is far and away the closest the game has actually developed to begin with, right? Like, it's a 500 gold lead, but that's not much for the side of Saigon Buffalo. Definitely a far cry from what we've seen in this series already, where Saigon has stepped out to very quick gold leads, very dominant laning phases. Now, out of fairness, I think this is the quietest composition that they've drafted so far, right? Game 1, they had the Pantheon. Game 2, they had the Draven that just kind of smashed the laning phase. And now it's the Aphelios. Now it's, the Seraphine. It's the Ornn. It's a lot different of a laning phase.
Artifact looking to make the play onto Froggy, lands the Emperor Divide, in comes the Penguin, the self-ult from Froggy, but he's taking so much damage, forced to flash away, the Ignite ticks down, and it's BJ who picks up first blood, still has the Cease and Desist available, throws it down onto Artifact, no summoner spells, and it's BJ with a double kill.
And spectacularly played from Froggy to kick things off, and just with that E usage, pulling them very, very far up, and then using the ultimate, using everything to stall for time, kill off the minions, I think, as well, to buy space for BJ to kind of come in right there and find a kill up against Penguin. And in the 2v2 in the mid jungle, it's been tough so far for Froggy. He's been getting poked out by Artifacts Azir, which has been playing amazingly so far in this game, but it's the 2v2. It's that skirmishing power that Froggy has always been known for, and this is a perfect example of it, where he kind of lives through this situation that could have been really rough, steps back in, presses the ultimate, and this is where, again, the chain CC between the two is really amazing, flashing out the other side, not taking the soldier, and then, of course, the ultimate. I mean, that cease and desist pulls him back into Lysandra's passive, which was probably, the end goal of what you wanted to have happen there, as BJ, again, having a split and a half. I think BJ's winter split was so bad that, like, at one point, I think it was easy to fall off the B&J hype train. Even last split, I don't think he had the greatest of performances, even though the team ended up in second place. But this split has really stepped up as being another contender for a top 3 spot. I think if Saigon hasn't established their positional players as being some of the best in their roles this split, I don't know what it would take for you to be convinced of such, because they really have done incredible things.
We make the comparisons to B&J and, a flower or a hibernating animal, because he was not around in winter. He was either hibernating or he was, a deciduous tree, I think it's called. As Hero teleporting to the bottom lane, explosive cask has been used. Who is tanking up the tower? It is B&J. Very nice beat drop to lock down Hero, and all of Saigon Buffalo are in the bottom lane. Hero will be able to survive. The high note will not land. But there's going to be a wave crashing in, and Taki just doing his best to poke Hero down as that wave makes its way to the tower. Good sidestep again on a beat drop, and Hero is sidestepping everything, but there are 4 members. There's nothing he can do, and in the end, Shogun will get the kill. But on the top side of the map, the Rift Herald has been dropped down, and Team Secret have had so much time, and they're going to get so many plates and so much gold.
That they will. Hosmed will stop the second tower from going down, so there's that to talk about. As Team Secret was able to find a kill against, I think it was Hosmed, as they flooded the top side and the cross side of the map. This is the first time that Team Secret has really been ahead of a play that Saigon has made. Hosmed was trying to leave, and Penguin had Rift Herald here to drop with Zuhao and Eddie, and it meant that they got the first tower of the game. Now, who got the kill? I didn't actually see. It was Penguin that ended up with the kill, as they juggled the tower aggro really effectively. And again, the Rift Herald nets them first tower of the game. I think if the tower goes down on the bottom side, it's still a winning play for Saigon. They got quite a bit, especially because it goes exclusively into Aphelios more than anything else. But still, it's the first time that Team Secret has really found something on the other side. Most of the series has just been Saigon taking something and giving nothing back pretty much the entirety of every game so far. And so this is where Team Secret has officially broken into the territory of, okay, at least we can match something that they've done on the other side of the map.
It's the first time where we've got to 10 minutes and the game hasn't already felt over. And I think saying getting to 10 minutes might be generous, because I feel like the games have been over even before 10 minutes.
Yes, I agree with that. You could be generous and say, okay, maybe 10 minutes, but that's about as far as you could possibly go, is saying like 10 minutes, maybe there's still some competitiveness, but that's about it. But this game, I mean, we're separated by 1.3, okay? There's some scaling still in the carries that come through from Team Secret. A decent amount of gold got dropped into Eddie, not enough to be the same as Shogun at this point, but at least enough to be like a pretty decent team fighter when needed, especially on the Zeri pick where you've got all this mobility. You have a chance at actually winning out team fights with Eddie in a position like this, where like you're at least close enough to be within shooting range of where Shogun is at. That is, of course, until he pops red, white, and just destroys Eddie's health bar with a single auto attack with like 9 chakra.
Quick question. Is this the first objective that Team Secret have got all series? Actually, we'll hold that thought, because B&J is on the flank looking for that potential cyclone. Has Froggy here as well. Could be finding a mega frozen tomb, and he's going to lock the Gragas down in place. However, it's a shutdown for Penguin, who finds a kill onto B&J. Penguin now on the run. Froggy looking to go in. Look how low Penguin is. The bailout will be propped, and he will eventually fall. Flash forward. The handshake will land. Shogun will die. Eddie gets a kill over the wall. Now he's looking towards Taki. Hero and Joao taking so much damage. Eddie lockdown flashes away the high note. Eddie's still alive, but Froggy will be able to find one. Now he looks for Juhao, lands a CC, and Juhao will fall as the final eye shot picks up a double kill for Froggy.
And it's such an incredibly close fight that ends up coming to fruition. And I have to give, we'll talk about it in the replay, because we get everything else comes back to us eventually one way or another. As it's Saigon Buffalo kind of ripping and tearing their way through a team fight, not nearly as dominant as they had previously, but there are a couple of really bright moments, I think, for both teams inside of that one that does bode well for some of the future. And one of the members I have to unfortunately give a bunch of props to is Eddie. He positioned so well at the top of this fight. Look at this, he's just constantly dropping damage. He's the reason they did very well to start with, but it's Shogun's positioning versus Eddie that I think is really the contest here. It's a twofold kind of problem that ends up happening, because Shogun getting driven out by Eddie and by the rest of this team is great, but it opens up Froggy's ability to kind of kill the 2 members at the bottom side of this fight, and that's the problem. They put so much focus into making sure Shogun couldn't do anything that they didn't actually pay attention to the Lysandra that ends up cleaning up the rest of the fight anyway. So on one hand, I think they did a great job shutting down the primary team fighter and allowing for Eddie to use this topside positioning better, but unfortunately it wasn't enough, because they weren't concerned with the threat on the bottom side of the fight that Froggy ends up using very effectively.
BJ getting caught out, used the cease and desist, but Penguin will not fall, and it's a kill for the side of a Team Secret. Does their playoffs start here? Is it here in Game 3 against Team Secrets that they start to mount their challenge, not just for the VCS title, but for that world spot?
Oh, maybe. Maybe not, actually, because
Maybe not.
that's a great flank.
Get popped. Here it goes. A big explosive cask, but the charm will land onto Eddie. Drops down the lightning crash and will survive. Cyclone onto Froggy. So much damage goes golden. Penguin forced to run out away. And Eddie will die, but not until he finds a kill onto Shogun. Penguin able to get the kill onto Taki. Not able to sidestep on the Call of the Forge God artifact, making his way over. Has the Emperor's Divide. And this Orn is left with nowhere to go, and this should be an easy kill. There is a little bit of a burn. Artifact looking for the kill. BJ doesn't have an ult, but does have the flash available. The blast cone won't come through in time for Hazmed.
And superior team fighting once again, an insane display from Team Secret, being able to be resilient after all things, and after two really dominating games from the side of Saigon Buffalo. It is Team Secret who's put their foot down and started performing to the best of their abilities inside of this game. I thought it looked like an amazing beginning to the fight, because Froggy found this incredible flank to get two members basically stuck up in just one place. But once again, it's the damage coming out from Eddie that really makes the difference. Shogun's not quite powerful enough at this point in the game to really take over a lot of the fights that are coming through. And a couple of members are doing some great things. And again, this was the flank from Froggy where you find Zuhao basically immediately inside of this one. The Duskwave as well to really combo onto Hero almost made the difference. The ultimate from Hero, however, at the last second, puts Shogun out of position, lets Eddie kind of do damage, and he doesn't quite fall to that ultimate. The Moonlight Vigil from the Gravitum or from the everything else coming through was just not enough. And I want to give props to Taki too, who played this fight immaculately as the support in this situation, very nearly carrying the end of this fight to be incredibly worthwhile. This was where Hazmed stepped in to kill Penguin. He was getting followed by Artifact. I'm so shocked that Hazmed went for this. This feels like such a brain empty type play where Hazmed is just like, okay, I can kill Penguin, doesn't concern himself with the Azir that's following him whatsoever. It feels like a needless kill that's just given over for nothing.
But this is Team Secret starting to look like a team. I don't know what happened between Game 2 and Game 3, but whatever secret we're talking about, whatever secret plan, it is starting to work. And Saigon Buffalo are going to have to work for this win, for this series win.
Yeah, the important bit, I think, they need BJ around to contest the position of Eddie really badly inside of these fights, because you need the lockdown, you need the immediate kind of one tap CC immediate move, because otherwise you've seen in a couple of fights now that Eddie has just been able to pop the lightning crash and win out in situations. The DPS battles against Shogun have been won just barely by Eddie in like 3 fights in a row effectively. That might change when Shogun's got the chance, because he dumped a lot of his abilities at the beginning of that fight before he ended up coming through, but we'll see if that's a continuing trend as we walk further and further into the game here. As Team Secret, again, defending Eddie and making sure that he's got space to just throw in autos on this Zeri is a pretty mean team fighting strategy that they can definitely work with, because they've been doing it so far in the course of this game. But with Saigon Buffalo having as many divers as they do, between not only like Taki being able to position against backline, but Froggy, BJ, Hazmed all have ways to attack the Zeri. You do have that on like a future kind of understanding thing of, okay, does this work eventually when the game kind of breaks down to that point? Like, does Eddie's positioning end up getting punished by Saigon Buffalo? Can Shogun kind of carry the front end of the fight against the tank Gragas, against the Wukong? We end up getting our culmination of what was supposed to be a really mean ADC versus ADC battle over the course of the series that really has just been dictated by this bottom lane of Saigon, that finally we get our kind of magnum opus here.
Mid lane, outer tower, cracked open. That's 2 towers for the side of Team Secret. And things are going a lot better than they did in the first 2 games. Coming into this playoffs, Rebel, we were talking about how, GAM looked by far and away the best team, and we were thinking, the only close series that we'd see would be Saigon Buffalo against Team Secret. And after the first 2 games, that looked completely wrong, because Saigon Buffalo looked a class above Team Secret. They still look like they are in some kind of control of this game. They've been able to pick up 2 Drakes. They could look for that 3rd Drake in a couple of minutes' time and take themselves towards Soul Point.
They do. I really appreciate the way, though, the Team Secret's been side laning and just making sure that his ear is farmed up very effectively. That's something that hasn't really been happening over the course of the series. It felt like Artifact hasn't really been in a perfect place to be winning out in the majority of these games. And this is a position where it feels like that is entirely the case, where you do have finally Artifact kind of coming online. He's got the crown. He's going to be a little bit further out from some of the itemization as everybody else is. He hasn't been in participation with some of these team fights nearly as often because he's been in a side lane, but is going for the DPS build, is going for like Conqueror and Nashers, that type of thing, wants to be a hard carry for the team, and another player that you have to concern yourself with on Saigon Buffalo for pressuring on a dive, pressuring with some of your longer range type engage abilities. That does come very, very heavily with a lot in the later stage of the game, whether or not Artifact can actually put out damage alongside Eddie. And in my opinion, we're also tracking quite a bit of Shogun, because again, Shogun's got to do the heavy lifting when it comes to damage on his team against some of these frontliners. And so I really want to see what Shogun's got cooking up here when it comes to build. I want to see like LDR. LDR is going to be super valuable in this game. Infinity Edge, when he breaks under 3 items, I think that's the point where Saigon's fight is going to be the most menacing, because then you can tear through the front to back type team fight, because you can contest the position of Eddie and Artifact with all these long range ultimates. And so Team Secret have to find an answer. If they keep giving up dragons and they give the ability for Saigon to just have full control of when dragon fights happen, they do run the risk of potentially losing out, positioning battle and just losing a big fight that could lose them the game as well. That was
Teleport
a bold
towards the
teleport.
bottom lane. Is that Froggy or is that Harsmed? It is Froggy. The teleport will come through just before the tower falls, but it is still another tower to Team Secret, and it is Saigon Buffalo's final outer tower that will drop off the face of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, I think it was a bluff call from Team Secret where they say, okay, Froggy can't really do anything here. Even if he ease in, even if he press his abilities, we have enough members here that it's not going to matter. And it was Froggy's attempt at trying to push them off bottom tower so that they couldn't take that objective, couldn't get that gold in their ready for their team to use on items before this next dragon comes up. Because they have only about 20 seconds until the dragon is going to spawn. They just took resets on just about every single member of Team Secret. 3 of them only just now walking out of the base, as Nashers has been completed from Artifact. And that means that they have given up positioning of the river, but Saigon Buffalo is down 1.5k, and now that gold has been spent very effectively by this team. Keep your eye on Bean J. He's in a great position around the side of the fight to go with, and you've got, again, a ton of engage tools from a distance from Saigon's team that they can use effectively to run through a fight like this.
Keep your eyes on Harsmed as well with that Call of the Forger God. Artifact is going to be making his way over. That Emperor's Divide could be a massive tool, but the eyes are on the Drake. Can Saigon Buffalo take themselves to Soul Point? Ooh. The Mountain Drake will reset, and no one has started the fight yet. What is that initiation tool going to be? It's going to be the Call of the Forge God into an explosive cast.
Wow.
The Forge God won't get knocked back. Cyclone comes through, and Shogun is taken solo. He's out of this fight, and another Cyclone. BJ forced away. Harsmed over the wall, and Team Secret get the Drake, and Team Secret find a kill as well.
And it is a flawless use of the ultimate from Renata that Zuhao uses in order to really, really staunch everything that came through from Saigon Buffalo. I was talking about how many tools that they've got to work with when it comes to diving into the backline, and none of them were really used in that fashion. They were instead, I think, posturing more for the dragon than anything else, but it's just going to bleed over. A Baron as well, almost certainly here. BJ's got a little bit of difference to cover. He's going to get spotted on his way in, almost certainly going to get blocked away.
Hero, that is massive! And the jungler for Saigon Buffalo is down. Team Secret find themselves the Baron Nashor.
And they finally get themselves into a position where they get some kind of fight win in the grand scheme of things. But look at this again. I'm looking at the Renata ultimate. Not only is the Seraphine ultimate and the Ornn ultimate propped and ready for everything, but they deny the Ornn ultimate as well as set up for a Wukong dive in the midst of multiple members, and it drives them out of the pit. It means that Froggy is left abandoned on the other side of the fight, and multiple members flashing over the dragon wall just to get themselves out of dodge. Again, it's such a perfect ultimate from Zuhao to thwart everything that Saigon was looking for. Because again, if that old ultimate comes down and you can prevent, Penguin's dive from coming in, everything else you can kind of follow up with Froggy. You can, put damage in from Shogun, play that front to back. Then things work out very effectively for you. But unfortunately, that's not how it plays. And instead, Team Secret, they jump off to a 4K gold lead, their first real, tangible, actual gold lead inside of the series.
This game is not going to be a 3-0 stomp. Team Secret want to play, and they are not going to fall over backwards for Saigon Buffalo. They find themselves with a Baron Nashor and a chance to extend their goal lead even further. But Saigon Buffalo are, of course, not out of this game just yet. They do still have plenty of windows to be able to get back into the game, and you were highlighting earlier, Rebel, just how impactful Shogun can be once he picks up a few items.
Yeah, the LDR is done, so he can do damage against some of these frontliners. Big flank angle potentially from Froggy and BJ on the left, as they're trying to prevent this ultimate from coming through. My apologies, Moonlight Vigil from Shogun just completely whiffs and doesn't hit anybody. Probably would have tagged 3 members in the right circumstances. That's an ultimate from the Ornn. They're going to try to catch people.
All of the support got a 2-man knock up and they go in. Zhu Hao is already dead, but BJ will fall as well. A 2-for-1 in favor of Saigon Buffalo, but Saigon Buffalo want no further action. They're happy getting a numbers advantage, but Team Secret aren't done yet. They still have Artifact and Eddie alive, their main damage dealers, but they're going to be forced to back away, just looking to pick up a few objectives, but in the end it's Froggy's Ice Shard that steals the red buff away from Penguin.
That it is, and a couple of members, again, using these longer range ultimates, using some of this engage from Saigon Buffalo sets up for 2 kills onto Shogun, which is exactly the member the gold needs to go into. If everything else goes completely awry in a fight, if you buy space for Shogun to step forward and put in damage, he's going to carry this game. He's shown the propensity to do that over the course of this split. And you saw it once again on very, very rapid display here for Saigon Buffalo, where they find a couple of members on the front side. And once again, it's Zhu Hao whose ultimate kind of stalls everything in its tracks. But the 2 kills that end up coming through for Shogun means such a drastic swap from the beginning of the game, where now, if Infinity Edge gets completed, then Shogun might start winning some of the DPS battle. It's so good combination of an Ornn ultimate alongside everything else. And notice, Shogun didn't get tagged by the Renata ultimate, which was the big member you need to make sure it doesn't have any follow-up. Taki had already thrown the Seraphine ultimate, so the other direction would have been better. As Zhu Hao tries to cancel yet another engagement out, but he can't catch all of them. He's played very well so far. That counter-engage tool has been filthy. Unfortunately, he just gets the worst end of that trade.
Both supports have a very similar ultimate when you kind of think about it, just that Taki's one is longer and doesn't cause the enemies to start murdering each other, but they're huge tools if either side gets a little bit too aggressive with their engage.
That they are. Okay, Froggy here just to defend the wave, just to defend the tower. Nothing too crazy. They want to try to keep their kind of inner towers up, not only for defensive gold, but also for defensive flank angles when the time comes. Because, if the tower is still available, then they can keep up Froggy, they can put BJ over the wall, things like that. It's a really tough position to find yourself in to lose these structures, because it means that when pushing comes later, you just have less, space. Your wards are going to be pushed back even further. TS's wards are going to be pushed up further. And that means that they're going to lose. As Hosman and BJ tried to find the pick onto Hero right there, just too tanky, able to get away. And now that's multiple members that are just gone. The base is pushed. The wards are pushed up really far as well. As Team Secret should have pure access to the Dragon, especially with those 2 engage ultimates going down. There's basically no chance that Saigon decides to contest this anymore.
He's being chased down by members of Saigon Buffalo. He can jump over the wall if he needs to. Maybe he's just zoning them away. We do see that from time to time from Zeri's a teleport coming through as well. Team Secret looking for a potential play. In the end, Taki will use the Shurelius to allow Saigon Buffalo to run out to safety, and Team Secret will turn their attention towards their second Mountain Drake of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be top tower that's given over to Saigon Buffalo. They're going to take that one as opposed to try to contest for the Dragon, which again, so much space has been given over to the side of Team Secret. I'm not shocked about this at all. They're only going to capture that one tower. It's just going to be a little bit of gold. That's going to take the gold back to 4,500, something along those lines. Saigon trying to stay within damage distance, within gold value of what this team fight necessitates. And in a lot of ways, again, it's Shogun I'm paying attention to. He's on 4 or 3.5 items at this point. To be able to pour gold into him, which is why, that top decision was a little strange. Hosmed also needs to find a way to get extra gold in this game, or extra experience in this game, because only just now is he getting the first Ornn items kind of started to get upgraded. And the faster he can get Shogun's faster he can get Shogun's Gale Force upgraded, the better that this game is going to be. The faster than this gold gap is going to get closed by just the Ornn items coming through. And so again, the longer this game goes, the little bit easier that it does get for Saigon in terms of being able to catch up with some of the scaling now.
Do you think that this is a situation where Team Secret do outscale Saigon Buffalo, or do those ornaments make it even once we get to 6 item points?
I don't think that there's an easy way for anybody outside of Penguin to try to contest Shogun's position. Like, he's the only diver. Or obviously, if you're close enough, you're close enough for Artifact and Eddie to put in damage. But honestly, Shogun shouldn't be doing that. Instead, should be hitting Hero and Penguin and anybody else standing on the front side of a fight. And there's so many ways for Saigon to try to contest the positioning of Eddie and Artifact that I in terms of scaling damage, it's absolutely 100% going to be the Zeri and the Azir that are going to win out the battle. But when it comes to scaling in a team fight and being able to use that damage, I feel like Shogun's going to pump out a lot more than those two combined, which is why it's so important to figure out ways in order to get Shogun damage, and conversely, how to contest his position as Penguin or Zhu Hao using his ultimate effectively to deny him from access inside of a fight. Ooh.
Good beat drop
Okay,
on it.
not gonna take it.
And onto the Warrior Trickster, and this game might be coming down to our two ADCs once again. Games 1 and 2, Shogun completely had the measure of Eddie. It was not even close. Eddie stepping forward here in game 3. Explosive Cask lands onto Froggy, but in the end, he is able to take the Glacial Path out to safety. And Team Secret, not forcing a fight, they're just poking around, and now they're looking towards the Baron because they know BJ's down to half health.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be if you're B&J. They're going to have to worry about the fight, though. That's the real concern here.
Is this the moment? Call of the Forge God has been used, and that's going to be Hero already out of this fight. Moonlight Vigil doesn't really land onto many people, but that is Artifact already out of this fight. What can AD do? Absolutely nothing. He's trying to kite back from Shogun, but Shogun is massive! With the chuck bombs, the moonshot lands! And Eddie is shut down. Saigon Buffalo win the fight.
Bot diff, baby, let's go! Ultimates get burnt at the front end of that fight, and basically nothing is left on either side, and so Shogun just gets to run absolutely wild through the midst of this fight, hitting anybody within his range, and there's nothing that this team can do about it. I think Team Secret honestly might have been better suited to try to pump out damage into the Baron, because it was down to 4,000, but they shifted everything away. I'm looking at two things. Number one, Eddie only just put damage into this fight, has not thrown a single auto attack quite yet. Artifact as well is just like too far away with soldiers. This is the engagement. And Eddie, again, trying to put in damage, he misses a good number of his shots and just has to back so far away that he can't do anything. And that's when Shogun just smells blood in the water, goes aggressive, flashes into the opposing ADC, and absolutely rips and tears through this team in incredible fashion. Love the way that Shogun has been playing so confidently inside of this series. And right there, turning the game in Saigon Buffalo's favor significantly. Baron buff is going to be theirs, probably third Dragon as well. And now the team is beginning to scale. Once all the tools were down, it's really nice and really easy for Saigon to play a front-to-back fight. So Team Secret are now the ones with their backs against the wall. They're ones with the first round life. They're going to have to go to the losers bracket if they lose right here and right now. And they don't want to have that happen. They want to continue contesting Saigon's position in this game, want to continue playing this one out.
That moonshot from Shogun at the end of the fight was just the icing on the cake to snipe down Eddie. But Team Secret, they are still in this game. Artifact has just been able to pick up the Rabbit on Seth Cap. That previous fight didn't burn the flash, didn't use the ultimate either, and had practically no impact. It was a very bad fight for Team Secret, and I feel it's not one that's representative of what happens if these two teams have equal setup for a fight.
I agree wholeheartedly, but the problem is now you've given up so much back to the side of Saigon Buffalo. Like, how do you actually get that fight back in your position is now they're looking for it again.
They're looking for Eddie, takes so much damage, but he's over the wall. He's safe, or is he? Shogun is doing damage, and he still has a Guardian Angel as well. Penguin gets the top, but Shogun is still alive. A 3v4, 2-for-1 for Saigon Buffalo. Jungler for jungler, but Hero dead as well. And Saigon Buffalo are going to back away as Team Secret collect this wave. But the critical thing is Shogun still has that Guardian Angel untouched.
Yes, he does. It came down to the wire there. Shogun, he's got Onslaught. He's going to pump it into the tower.
The handshake was big, but not big enough, and the Empress Divide doesn't hit onto anyone. Artifact forced to flash away. How much damage does Eddie have? Hazmed chunked out low. Froggy goes in, hit by the handshake, but Zhu Hao will fall. Eddie trying his best to kite away as Saigon Buffalo continue to siege forward. They pick themselves up an inhibitor, and now they march their way over towards the Mountain Drake.
It's an incredibly mean usage of tools at the front end of that fight, but again, it feels like the Team Secret's frontliners are just paper when all this damage is coming through from Saigon Buffalo, specifically to Shogun, but to anybody else. And it means that, again, so much of this fight just gets peeled away at the beginning for Team Secret that it means that Artifact and Eddie have to play absolutely perfectly in order to make anything happen. So that cracks so much. It means mid tower is going to be constantly down. That means inhibitors are going to come through. This is an ultimate from BJ as well that puts him really deep in enemy lines to try to get onto Eddie. Got denied hide by that wall, which was really good. And I thought Eddie could carry this fight. I thought right here was when Shogun was going to die. But again, Onslaught, Red Gun, this much damage, so easy to just not die. No Guardian Angel burns. And it's what allowed them to kind of step up into this tower, allowed them to step up and pull this mid inhibitor off the board for the side of Saigon Buffalo. And again, who's standing in front of you here? Eddie and Artifact are basically full health. They're feeling fine in this game. But unfortunately, it just doesn't matter. It does not matter in the slightest. In fact, were it not for Hosmed missing this E onto Artifact, honestly, this fight might have been the end of the game right now. I don't know that they would have had enough with Artifact down to defend against the onslaught of the Baron buff push in the mid game. So thankfully, Artifact, not going down, Hosmed missing that knockup was huge to keep them in the game. But now everything kind of teetering here for Team Secret is you've got, Mountain Soul kind of lurking. You're down to a gold deficit. Taki is in the game. Shogun is a beast in this game already, has already been dominating fights. You have to find some kind of way to get your ADC, to get your mid laner in position to put out damage significantly. Otherwise, the game is lost and Team Secret falls.
Rebel, very quickly, do Team Secret take us to game 4?
Hell no.
Hell no. Things aren't looking good for Team Secret. They had the lead momentarily, but now it's Saigon Buffalo who have the goal lead, who are on to Soul Point. And it's Team Secret who are already an inhibitor down their mid lane exposed, and Saigon Buffalo pushing waves in towards them.
It didn't look like Froggy got spotted. They kind of caught him coming out of mid lane, but they didn't catch him anywhere until right now when he's on the ward. But he can threaten underneath this tower all day long. Artifact has to come here just to make sure, and they get Hosmed under the tower.
Good explosive cast, but look at the encore from Taki. What can Eddie do? Looking towards Froggy, flashes over the wall. BJ on the run as well. But Eddie once more flashes forward, picks up 2, and a double kill for the Zeri. And Team Secret have life yet.
And that's heroics from Hero, 100%, knocking Hosmed out of the fight. It was an attempted salvage from Taki just to make sure that the fight could actually be attempted at, but unfortunately, I don't think Shogun was in position to really start punishing members before the fight was just completely stripped away. They're going to try to run it up mid lane just as quick as possible. Their wave is small. You see if Taki and Shogun are able to clear it effectively. Well done by Taki, as that's going to be the wave cleared. And it's a question of whether or not they can last for 20 seconds without anything else. Shogun has to do some heroics. Taki has to do some heroics. And Team Secret, they do fear what happens from the bottom lane. These two are incredibly powerful, and they don't think that they can win the game off the back of just that one push. And so they end up leaving now 15 seconds before the Baron comes up. And they have to be very careful, because if they leave the map completely, they're going to give up positioning for Baron. And that means that Saigon Buffalo can step right up outside of going down, push out this mid wave, which is what Shogun and Taki are doing at the moment, and they can walk into Baron pit, and it means that they have to get caught. In fact, double TP sets them up.
Froggy and Hosmed looking for the flag, and now they're looking to Hero. Can they turn this into a 5v4 for the Baron? Hero ends up dashing in the wrong way. Surely it's going to fall, but Eddie is now here. Can he keep his top laner alive? Big old core, and it lands onto Hero. Hero will fall, but look at Eddie. He is firing out the bullets, but is it enough? Shogun over the wall. Eddie, Guardian Angel will get popped now. Shogun in 1v3, but Team Secret are being annihilated, and it is Saigon Buffalo who get 4 kills for nothing, and that might very well be the game, Rebel.
What an insane tempo play coming through here from the side of Saigon Buffalo. They catch them completely off guard to the fact that Team Secret have to remain on the map somehow to have Baron presence, and they just get caught out because of the double TP from the wards that were left. They think they're just going to close the base right now. TP back from Artifact is the only thing that can keep them from winning, but I think they've got too big of a wave. I think this is just done.
It's all over for Team Secret. In the end, it's a 3-0, and Saigon Buffalo are 1 series away from heading to Worlds.
Oh, Team Secret really made this third game look like it was a competitive one for 100% of the time. Those first 2 games were so defeating from Secret. I was surprised that they came out with this much ferocity to attempt to come back in a series, but Saigon Buffalo is just unyielding. So intelligent the way that they played some of the end of that game, played their team fights out effectively. And once again, I'm not going to bust you anymore on this than anything else, but that ADC battle was so lopsided today. It was ridiculous. Eddie did a much better job in that third game than any other time, but Shogun flashing on top of him in multiple fights, just saying, no, I am the superior ADC. I'm going to put out the damage, and I'm going to be the one that wins the fight for us.
See, this is why I told you to decide on our matchup narrative for the day, because you were spot on with Shogun against Eddie. So massive congrats on spotting that one, and huge congrats to Saigon Buffalo for a fantastic performance. Are we saying then Shogun MVP for the series?
That's a tough one to call. I'm gonna let our desk kind of handle that because I think they're a little bit better suited to do so. But I would say that that's definitely a worthwhile endeavor. I think Shogun played out of his mind. I think Taki had an amazing day too. It wasn't that same level of electricity as like you normally get when he plays like Rumble or you play some other Gremlin type champion. But man, Taki's day was absolutely 100. It was a little quieter than normal, like when it comes to like explosiveness. But he was playing exactly as he needed to. It felt like more of a B performance than it felt like a Taki performance. But he's the top level ADC and support in the league for a very good reason.
Fantastic performance from Saigon Buffalo, and they will go on to meet either GAM or SBTC in the upper bracket finals. But we're going to be throwing over to our analyst Des to break down the game, break down the series, and close out the stream.
Well. SGB has just picked up a 3-0. None of us predicted that. Me and Tim did predict the winner. We both predicted 3-1 though. Really thought Team Secret would get over the line at least once. But I've got to go over to the Team Secret diehard. Clockwork. Well, you predicted they could win 3 games and they won none. What happened?
Tragedy happened. I mean, we already addressed their main problem in this series. That was their draft planning, which showed to be a massive hurdle in game 1 and 2. Game 3 was winnable, was close. They had all the tools they needed, but eventually fumbled the execution, which we know also Buffalo excels at. So Team Secret, it's not over for them. They still have a lower bracket run that they can attempt. However, it's really hard because now SBTC has a good template on how to actually has 2 good templates on how to beat them because they also defeated them in the last day of regular season. And so their qualification for Worlds becomes immediately so much harder. And they really need to pull themselves up. Otherwise, it's over for them.
Tim, you predicted SGB to get over the line, and over the line they got.
Yeah, I mean, it was game 1 and 2 kind of went as I expected, and kind of game 3 as well. I just predicted that game 3 would be a throw from Saigon because they are a very explosive and emotional team. I would call them, and I think that can sometimes just cost you games, especially those game 3s where you had 2 clean wins and then you maybe take it a bit too lightly. So you need a game 4 to then close it out. They were actually able, even with a grief, even with a bad draft, they were still able to close it out. They were still able to win the game. So that really surprised me, and that's a good sign for Saigon and a really bad one for Team Secret. Even with a better draft, even with Saigon maybe doing a few more mistakes, they just couldn't get over the line. And now really the question, I think, becomes, can Team Secret even beat what we expect to be SBTC in lower bracket finals, or in lower bracket?
Yeah, we do want to go back and have a look at one of the team fights that really turned this game around. So if we're ready on that one, production, we can head over and Tim, you can kind of give us the run through of this one. Oh, okay. We are not ready yet, so we're going to keep just talking for a little bit. Apologies to our producer. Before we go to that, we can have a look at the brackets so we can see what is coming up, as it'll now be Team Secret down in the lower bracket. SGB ready to face the winner of GARM and SE, who are playing this Friday. And obviously the loser of that series will go down to face Team Secret. I want to get your opinion. I'll go to you first, Clockwork, looking at Team Secret. If the expected result happens and GARM wins on Friday, how do you think Team Secret matches up against SE?
At this point, if you ask me before this series, I would say that despite their last loss, it should be an easy series for Team Secret, and you shouldn't be worried. But after today, it becomes immediately much closer, especially because we all agree that Team Secret had some work to do in their bot lane, especially when it comes to the AD carry performance. Hedy has had a tragic series, and on the other side stands Celebrity, which is one of our best AD carries in the league. So just as Shogun really showed the massive difference bot lane match can provide, I am afraid that also SPDC might look at this series and just try to replicate it in Celebrity's hands. So if they can exploit this bot lane gaping hole, it becomes much harder for Secret to keep up their dreams.
And on the other side of that hypothetical, because of course we predict Garm to win that series, but it's not a sure thing, just to be clear. But if they do get up onto it, you've seen SGB play, Tim. How do you think they do up against Garm?
I mean, I think everybody in their right mind would say Gam is winning, but I'm delusional and I really like Saigon. So I think Saigon has a real shot. I would actually, it's still Gam favored, but I would give them about a 40% win chance, which is still a lot, I think, and much more than most people would give them.
For sure. This playoff still has a lot to offer, and honestly, with SGB playing this well, I really think we are in for some very, very good series. Team Secret showed in Game 3 that they're not completely without hope. I want to give a special credit to Zhu Hao. He worked so hard on the Renata in that last game. He did absolutely crazy things. But overall, I want to get the last word from both of you on this series. How are you feeling? What's your take on how, if you're Garm looking at SGB, what are you worried about in the next series, Tim?
I mean, it has to be Shogun. This guy is absolutely popping off. I think the question was raised, is he MVP for the series? I looked at the points we gave everybody. I think it's a sure thing to say yes, he is. Absolutely. I think he and as well Taki, who's definitely not close behind. Those are absolute monsters in the bot lane. And yes, you have a good bot lane in Silent B meeting them, but I still would give it to Shogun and Taki. And then really the question becomes, can Saigon's top side hold their own?
Yep. Clockwork, how are you feeling about it?
So before this series, I was worried about Froggy and BJ matching up against one of the best mid jungle duos of Artifact and Penguin. And they matched up, like they fared way better than I expected. So if I'm Gam, I'm also keeping an eye on Froggy, especially. And of course, they knew from last split that BJ is a threat. So Levi and Kati really need to be on their A game if they want to shut down BJ and Froggy.
All right, well, with that, we will say good night for now. We are back in just 2 days' time. On Friday night, we have Garm taking on SE. The winner of that will go on to play Saigon Buffalo, as the bracket showed before. So there is still a huge amount of VCS action left in this one. And remember, you only have to win 2 series to go to Worlds. SGB are now 1 away. Team Secret are 1 loss away from being out of contention. So there is plenty left to go here in this double elimination bracket. But from all of us here at VCS English, it's time to say goodnight. Have a good one.